Victoria Hayes drew back her fist and punched the 8-year-old girl directly in the face. Blood exploded from Maya's nose. Her small body slammed against the lavatory door. The yellow dress her grandmother had sewn was suddenly splattered with crimson. The child's scream pierced through the airplane cabin like a knife. "My baby!" Denise Thompson shrieked, catching her daughter before she hit the floor. "Oh God, somebody help!" Victoria stood there, breathing hard, fist still raised, hatred burning in her pale blue eyes. She had just committed the unthinkable, and she didn't even flinch. But what Victoria didn't know was that 3 rows back, an off-duty FBI agent had witnessed everything. Before you hear this incredible story, please subscribe to our channel and follow Maya's journey to the very end. Comment below which city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. Now let me tell you how we got here. Mama, I can see the airplane. I can actually see it. Maya Thompson pressed her small hands against the terminal window at Chicago O'Hare International Airport. Her dark eyes were wide, reflecting the massive aircraft on the tarmac. Her heart pounded so hard she could feel it in her fingertips. Denise Thompson knelt beside her daughter, exhaustion pulling at her bones after another double shift at the hospital. But seeing Maya's face, that pure, unbridled joy, made every sacrifice worth it. "That's the one baby. That's taking us to Orlando. To Aunt Keisha's restaurant. To Aunt Keisha's restaurant." Maya spun around, her 2 braided pigtails whipping through the air. "And she's gonna have mac and cheese, the special kind with extra cheese on top." "The extra cheese." "Yes." Maya pumped her small fist in the air. A businessman walking past chuckled at her enthusiasm. Denise stood up, her knees protesting. 6 months. 6 months of skipping lunches, working overtime, saying no to everything that wasn't absolutely necessary. All for 2 plane tickets to Orlando. Maya tugged at her yellow dress, the one covered in white daisies, the one her grandmother had sewn just before cancer took her last winter. It was slightly faded now from countless washings, but Maya insisted on wearing it for every special occasion. "Grandma's watching, right, Mama?" Denise's throat tightened. "She's always watching, baby." "I told her this morning. I said, 'Grandma, I'm going to fly today. I'm going to be up in the clouds with you.'" Maya clutched her stuffed elephant tighter. "Peanut's nervous, though. He's never flown before either." "Well, you tell Peanut that you'll take care of him." Maya whispered something into Peanut's worn ear. The elephant had been loved so hard that one ear was barely hanging on by a thread. "Flight 2847 to Orlando, now boarding at gate 14. Maya grabbed her mother's hand. "That's us, Mama, that's us." "I heard, baby. Let's go." They joined the line at the gate. Maya couldn't stand still. She bounced on her toes, craned her neck, counted the people ahead of them. 12 people, Mama. That's going to take forever." "Patience, Maya." "But the plane might leave without us." "The plane won't leave without us." An elderly white woman in front of them turned around. Her face was kind, weathered with smile lines. "First flight, sweetheart." Maya nodded eagerly. "Yes, ma'am, I'm going to see my Aunt Keisha. She opened a restaurant. She makes the best mac and cheese in the whole entire world." The woman laughed warmly. "Well, isn't that wonderful? You enjoy those clouds, honey. They're God's cotton candy." "That's what Mama says, too." Denise mouthed a silent thank you to the woman, grateful for the small kindness. The line moved slowly. Maya's excitement made every second feel like an hour. She rocked back and forth, humming a song from school, occasionally asking her mother questions. "Mama, do pilots eat lunch while they fly?" "I suppose they do." "What if they spill their sandwich on the buttons?" Denise laughed. "I don't think that happens, baby. But what if it did? Would the plane crash?" "No, Maya, the plane would be fine." "Okay, good, because I don't want to crash before I see Aunt Keisha." Finally, they reached the front. The gate agent scanned their boarding passes. "Enjoy your flight." Maya practically dragged her mother down the jet bridge. "We're almost there, Mama. We're almost on the actual airplane." The jet bridge felt like a tunnel to another world. The air smelled different, recycled artificial, with a hint of jet fuel. Maya's sneakers squeaked against the floor as she hurried forward. At the aircraft entrance, a young flight attendant greeted them. Her name tag read, Sarah. She had warm brown eyes and a smile that reached all the way to her cheeks. "Well, hello there." Sarah bent down to Maya's level. "Is this your first flight?" "Yes, ma'am." "How exciting!" Sarah reached into her pocket. "You know what first-time flyers get?" Maya's eyes went wide. "What?" Sarah produced a pair of plastic pilot wings. "These. You're officially an honorary pilot now." Maya gasped. She looked at her mother for permission, and when Denise nodded, she accepted the wings like they were made of solid gold. "Thank you so much." "You're very welcome, sweetheart. You pin those right on your dress." Maya immediately attached the wings next to the daisies on her yellow dress. She stood up straight, her shoulders back. "Mama, I'm a pilot now." "I see that. You look very official." Sarah laughed. "Row 24 toward the back. Window seat, best view on the plane." Maya started down the aisle, one hand trailing along the seat backs as she counted rows. The airplane was bigger than she'd imagined. So many seats, so many people, so many stories. 1, 2, 3. She passed businessmen with laptops, a mother rocking a fussy baby, teenagers with headphones, an elderly couple holding hands. 11, 12, 13. She wondered where everyone was going. Maybe to see family. Maybe on vacation. Maybe. Maya stopped. A woman was blocking the aisle. She was tall and thin, with blonde hair pulled back so tight it looked painful. Her pale blue eyes stared down at Maya with an expression the child had never seen before. It wasn't a smile. It wasn't curiosity. It was something cold. Something that made Maya's stomach feel wrong. "Your seats are in the back." The words came out sharp, clipped, like ice cracking. Maya took a small step backward, bumping into her mother. Denise's hand found Maya's shoulder immediately. "I know where our seats are. We're heading there now." The flight attendant Victoria, according to her name tag, let her gaze travel slowly over them, from their shoes to their clothes to their faces. Her lip curled. "Then move along." Denise felt the chill. She recognized it. She'd felt it 1,000 times in her 42 years, but she wasn't going to make a scene. Not here, not in front of Maya. "Come on, baby." They squeezed past Victoria. Maya could feel those cold eyes following her as she walked. She counted faster. 22, 23, 24. "Here, Mama." She slid into the window seat, pressing her face against the plastic pane. Her reflection stared back, a small brown girl with braided hair and pilot wings pinned to a yellow dress. "Mama," Maya whispered. "Did I do something wrong?" Denise's heart cracked. She knelt in the aisle, taking Maya's face in her hands. "Listen to me, Maya. You didn't do anything wrong. Not one single thing. That woman has problems inside herself. It has nothing to do with you. Understand?" Maya nodded slowly. "Now you have the best seat on this whole airplane. You're going to see everything. The clouds, the ground getting tiny, maybe even some birds." "Okay. Okay, Mama." Denise kissed her forehead and settled into the middle seat. She buckled Maya in, then herself, trying to shake off the encounter. 3 rows back, Ryan Mitchell took his aisle seat. He'd watched the entire interaction. The blonde flight attendant blocking the aisle, the cold words, the dismissive sneer, the way the little girl's excitement had dimmed like someone had flipped a switch. Ryan had been an FBI agent for 15 years. He'd worked undercover operations, investigated organized crime, tracked serial killers. He knew hatred when he saw it, and he'd just seen it. He pulled out his phone, pretending to check messages, but his attention stayed locked on row 24, on the little girl in the yellow dress, on the mother rubbing her daughter's back in slow, comforting circles. Something was wrong here. Ryan didn't know what yet, but he was going to watch. "Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be pushing back from the gate momentarily. Please ensure your seatbelts are securely fastened." Maya watched through the window as the terminal slowly slid away. Her stomach fluttered excitement mixed with nervousness, mixed with something else she couldn't name. "Mama, we're moving." "We sure are, baby." The plane taxied toward the runway. Through the window, Maya could see other aircraft lined up waiting their turn. How do they know when it's their turn to fly? The control tower tells them there's a person who talks to all the pilots. Just one person for all the planes. There's a team of them. That sounds like a hard job. The engines roared to life. The sound vibrated through Maya's entire body. "Mama, it's so loud!" "That's normal, baby. That's how we fly." The plane accelerated, faster, faster. Maya felt herself pressed back into her seat. The world outside became a blur, and then the wheels left the ground. Maya gasped. They were flying. The ground fell away. The cars became toys. The buildings became blocks. Lake Michigan stretched out like a giant blue blanket. "Mama, look, we're actually in the sky." Denise leaned over to share the view, her own eyes glistening. "It's beautiful, isn't it? It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." The plane climbed higher. Chicago shrank below them until it was just a smudge on the horizon. Then clouds appeared first as wisps, then as thick white masses. Maya reached out and touched the window. "They really do look like cotton candy, just like that nice lady said. They sure do. Mama, do you think Grandma can see me? Do you think she's up here somewhere?" Denise's throat tightened. "I think if Grandma's anywhere, it's in a place this beautiful." Maya pressed Peanut against the window. "Look, Peanut, look at the clouds. Grandma's watching us fly." For a few precious minutes, everything was perfect. Then Victoria Hayes began the beverage service. Ryan watched her push the cart down the aisle. She stopped at each row, taking orders, pouring drinks. Her interactions were brief but professional. She smiled at a young white couple. She laughed at something a businessman said. She offered extra pretzels to an elderly man. Then she reached row 24. Her posture changed. Her shoulders tightened. Her smile vanished. "Drinks." The word was flat, cold, impatient. Maya turned from the window, still glowing. "May I please have apple juice, and Mama wants water, please." She'd remembered her manners, just like Daddy told her. Victoria stared at the child, at her braided hair, at her brown skin, at her yellow dress with the pilot wings. Something ugly crossed her face. She poured the juice, but instead of setting it down gently, she slammed it onto Maya's tray table. Hard. Liquid splashed over the rim, splattering across Maya's dress. Maya gasped. "My dress!" She looked down at the spreading stain. "Mama! It got on Grandma's dress!" Denise grabbed napkins, pressing them against the wet fabric. Her hands were shaking not with fear, but with barely contained rage. "It's okay, baby. It'll dry." Victoria was already walking away. "Wait!" Denise's voice cut through the cabin noise. "That was completely unnecessary." Victoria stopped. Slowly she turned. "Excuse me?" "You slammed that cup down on purpose. You got juice all over my daughter's dress." "Perhaps your daughter should learn to handle a cup properly." "She didn't touch the cup. You did." Victoria stepped closer. Her voice dropped to a hiss. "Are you accusing me of something?" Passengers were turning to look. Denise felt the weight of their stares. She thought of Maya watching, listening. "I'm asking for an apology." Victoria laughed, sharp, ugly, dismissive. "You're not getting one." She turned and continued down the aisle. Maya was crying silently, tears rolling down her cheeks as she tried to blot the stain from her grandmother's dress. "Mama, it won't come out. It won't come out." "Shh, baby, it's okay. We'll wash it when we land." "But Grandma made this dress. She made it special for me." "I know, sweetheart. I know." Sarah appeared with extra napkins. Her face was pale, troubled. "I'm so sorry about that," she said quietly. "Here, let me help." She knelt beside their row, dabbing at Maya's dress with gentle hands. "Victoria she's going through some things right now." "That's no excuse," Denise said flatly. "No, it's not." Sarah glanced toward the galley, then lowered her voice. "Between us, she's been reported before. 3 times in the last 6 months. Complaints from passengers about discriminatory behavior." Denise felt ice in her veins. "And she's still working." The airline keeps covering it up. She's been here 15 years. Seniority protects her. Sarah's voice was bitter. I've tried to report her myself. Nothing happens. So you just let her treat people like this? I hate it. I hate it, but I'm new. I don't have the power to... Sarah stopped herself. I'm sorry. That's not your problem. I just wanted you to know this isn't normal. This isn't okay. And I'm going to make sure she stays away from you for the rest of the flight. Maya looked up at Sarah with red-rimmed eyes. Why doesn't she like me? Sarah's face crumpled. Oh, sweetheart. It's not about you. Some people have so much darkness inside them that they can't see the light in others. You're full of light. Don't let anyone make you think otherwise. Maya sniffled. Grandma used to say that. She said I was her sunshine. Then you hold on to that. Your grandma was right. Sarah squeezed Maya's hand, then stood and hurried back toward the galley. Denise pulled Maya close, stroking her braids. Mama. Yes, baby. Is it because I'm brown? The question hit Denise like a physical blow. How many generations of black mothers had heard this question? How many children had been forced to learn this lesson too young? Some people don't like other people who are different from them, Maya. It's wrong, it's ugly, and it says everything about them and nothing about you. But I was nice to her. I said please and thank you. I know you did. You were perfect. Then why? Denise had no good answer. There was no good answer. I don't know, baby. I wish I did. Ryan had heard everything. He'd heard the cup slam. He'd heard the accusation. He'd heard Sarah's whispered confession about previous complaints. 3 complaints in 6 months. 3 complaints about discriminatory behavior. And the airline had done nothing. His hands gripped the armrests. His jaw was tight. He pulled out his phone and opened the Notes app. Started typing. Flight 2847, Chicago to Orlando. Flight attendant, Victoria Hayes. Approximately 45 to 50 years old, blonde, blue eyes. Hostile behavior toward African-American child, approximately 8 years old. Deliberately spilled juice on child's dress. Prior complaints per colleague, Sarah first name only. Possible pattern of racial harassment. He saved the note. Then he unbuckled his seatbelt and walked toward the forward galley. Victoria was organizing the drink cart, her back to him. She was humming. Actually, humming. Like she hadn't just made a child cry. Excuse me. Victoria turned. Her eyes swept over him, middle-aged white man, well-dressed, confident bearing. Her entire demeanor shifted. Yes, sir. Can I help you with something? I saw what happened back there with the little girl. Victoria's smile didn't waver. I'm sorry if there was a disturbance. Some passengers don't understand proper cabin procedures. The child asked politely for juice. You spilled it on her dress. Deliberately. It was an accident. It wasn't. Victoria's pleasant mask slipped. Just for a second. Just long enough for Ryan to see the truth underneath. I don't know who you think you are, she said quietly, but I'd suggest you mind your own business. I'm someone who knows harassment when he sees it. Harassment, she laughed. I've been doing this job for 15 years. I don't need some passenger telling me how to do it. Maybe you need someone to remind you that your job is to serve all passengers, equally. Victoria's eyes narrowed to slits. Are you calling me a racist? I'm describing what I observed. What you observed was a clumsy child who can't handle a plastic cup. Maybe her mother should teach her some manners. That child has better manners than you do. Victoria's face flushed red. Her hands balled into fists at her sides. We're done here. Go back to your seat, now, before I have you removed from this flight for interfering with a crew member. Ryan held her gaze for a long moment. He could flash his credentials. He could escalate this right now, but he knew how these things worked. Without concrete video evidence, it would be his word against hers. The airline would back her. The situation would be minimized, forgotten. No, he needed to be smart, document everything, be ready, because he knew this wasn't over. Victoria Hayes was a powder keg waiting to explode. We'll see, he said simply. He turned and walked back to his seat. Victoria watched him go, her whole body trembling with rage. Who does he think he is? Another one. Another one taking their side, always taking their side. She thought about the promotion she'd been denied, the one that went to Patricia Williams, a black woman with half her experience, half her seniority, but somehow more qualified. She thought about her husband, the way he'd looked at her when he said he was leaving, the pity in his eyes. 23 years of marriage, and he'd looked at her like she was nothing. She thought about her mortgage, her empty apartment, her life that was crumbling around her. And then she thought about that little girl in the yellow dress with the pilot wings and the stuffed elephant and the perfect braids, that little girl who smiled at everyone, who said please and thank you, who had a mother who loved her and a family waiting in Orlando, that little girl who had everything Victoria didn't. The rage built, swelled, threatened to overflow. Not yet, she told herself. Not yet, but soon. 45 minutes into the flight, turbulence hit without warning. The plane bucked and dropped. Passengers gasped. Overhead bins rattled. The drink cart rolled dangerously in the galley. Maya screamed, "Mama!" She grabbed her mother's arm with both hands, her eyes wide with terror. "It's okay, baby." Denise wrapped her arm around Maya. "It's just bumpy air. It's normal." "It doesn't feel normal." The plane shuddered again, harder this time. Maya buried her face in her mother's shoulder. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain. We've encountered some unexpected turbulence. Please remain seated with your seatbelts securely fastened." Maya was crying now, deep, terrified sobs. "I want to go home. Mama, I want to go home." "Shh, baby. Shh. We're okay. I promise we're okay." Victoria appeared in the aisle checking seatbelts. When she reached row 24, she stopped. Maya was still crying, her small body shaking. "Can you make her stop that noise?" Victoria's voice was cold. "She's disturbing other passengers." Denise's head snapped up. "She's scared. She's 8 years old." "Then control her." "She doesn't need to be controlled. She needs to be comforted." "What she needs is discipline." Victoria leaned closer. "Maybe if her parents did their job, you need to walk away." Denise's voice was deadly calm. "Right now, before I do something we'll both regret." Victoria's eyes glittered with malice. "Threatening a crew member? That's a federal offense, you know. Harassing a child is worse." They stared at each other. The tension crackled between them like electricity. Ryan was already unbuckling his seatbelt. This was escalating, fast. But then Sarah appeared, stepping between Victoria and the passengers. "Victoria, I need you in the forward galley, now." "I'm in the middle of now." Something in Sarah's tone brooked no argument. Victoria shot one last venomous look at Denise and Maya, then stalked toward the front of the plane. Sarah knelt beside Maya. "Hey there, pilot. You okay?" Maya shook her head, face still buried against her mother. "The bumps are scary, huh? But you know what you're doing so great. You're so brave." "I don't feel brave." "Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. Being brave means you're scared, but you keep going anyway. And you're still here. You're still flying. That makes you incredibly brave." Maya peeked out. Her face was tear-streaked, her braids disheveled. "Really? Really? And guess what? The bumps are almost over. See?" Sarah gestured toward the window. "The clouds are smoother up here. We just had to get through that rough patch." As if on cue, the turbulence began to ease. The plane leveled out. Maya took a shaky breath. "Okay, okay." "That's my brave pilot." Sarah patted her hand. "I'm going to make sure that other flight attendant stays far away from you. If you need anything, you press that call button, and I'll come running. Deal." Deal. Sarah stood and caught Denise's eye. Another unspoken understanding passed between them. "Thank you," Denise said quietly. "I'm just sorry I can't do more." Sarah headed toward the galley, and Denise pulled Maya close. "Mama?" "Yes, baby. Why is she so angry? The mean lady? Why does she hate us so much?" "I don't know, sweetheart. Some people carry poison inside them, and instead of trying to heal it, they spread it to others. That's sad. Denise blinked. What? It's sad. Having that much poison inside you, it must hurt a lot. For a moment, Denise was speechless. Her 8-year-old daughter, who had just been terrorized by a stranger's hatred, was finding compassion for her tormentor. You know what, Maya? You're absolutely right. It is sad. And the fact that you can see that makes you special. That makes you stronger than she'll ever be. Maya hugged Peanut tighter. Grandma used to say, hurt people hurt people. Grandma was very wise. I still don't like her, though. The mean lady. You don't have to like her, baby. You just have to survive her. In the forward galley, Victoria was losing control. Who does she think she is? She paced the tiny space, her hands shaking. Threatening me, on my aircraft. Sarah stood with her arms crossed. Victoria, you need to calm down. Calm down, calm down. I've given 15 years to this airline, 15 years, and some passenger thinks she can talk to me like that. You spilled juice on her daughter's dress. You told her to control her child during turbulence. What did you expect? I expect respect. I expect people to follow rules. I expect... Victoria stopped, her eyes wild. You're on their side, of course you are. Everyone's always on their side. Sarah felt a chill. Their side? What does that mean? You know exactly what it means. Victoria, I think you need to take a break. Sit in the jump seat. Let me handle the rest of the service. I don't need to take a break. I need passengers to show some basic decency. The only person not showing decency right now is you. Victoria's head snapped toward Sarah. Her eyes were unhinged, desperate. You're going to report me again, aren't you? Just like the others, you're going to try to destroy my career. Victoria, I'm not crazy, I'm not racist. I'm just trying to do my job. Why won't anyone let me do my job? Sarah took a step back. She'd never seen Victoria like this. The woman was unraveling before her eyes. Just stay here, okay? Stay here and take some breaths. I'll handle everything. She practically fled the galley. Victoria stood alone, breathing hard, her reflection staring back at her from the stainless steel coffee maker. They're all against you, the voice in her head whispered. They've always been against you. The airline, your husband, Patricia Williams, that man in row 12, that woman and her child. They want to destroy you, but you won't let them. You won't let them. Ryan noticed Sarah emerge from the galley, her face pale. She caught his eye and shook her head slightly, a warning. He understood. Victoria was escalating. The confrontation in the galley had made things worse, not better. He stayed alert. 20 minutes to landing. Maya needed the bathroom. Mama, I have to go. Denise hesitated. The seatbelt sign was still on from the turbulence, but other passengers were moving around. Can you hold it, baby? Maya squirmed. I really have to go. Denise glanced toward the galley. No sign of Victoria. Okay, quickly! They unbuckled and made their way to the rear lavatory. Maya walked carefully, holding her mother's hand. The bathroom was tiny. Maya had to stand on her tiptoes to reach the sink. This is still the smallest bathroom in the world. Denise smiled through the door. Just hurry, okay? Maya finished and washed her hands using too much soap because the dispenser was fun to press. She dried her hands on her dress and opened the door. Ready? Good girl, let's get back to our seats. They started up the aisle. Maya was feeling better now, lighter, almost normal. The clouds outside were still beautiful. Aunt Keisha was waiting. Everything would be okay. And then Victoria stepped out of the galley. Their eyes met. Maya froze. Victoria's face was blank, empty, like a mask with nothing behind it. Excuse me, Denise said tightly. We're going back to our seats. Victoria didn't move. Did you hear me? We're trying to get to our seats. Still nothing. Just that hollow stare. Then Victoria spoke. Her voice was flat robotic. Your seats are in the back. It was the same thing she'd said during boarding, the exact same words, like a record stuck on repeat. I know where our seats are. Denise's patience was gone. Move! Victoria's head tilted slightly, like a predator studying prey. You people always think you can push your way through. What did you say? You heard me. Passengers were turning to watch. Someone pulled out a phone. Denise felt her blood boiling. 15 years of swallowing this poison. 15 years of being the bigger person. 15 years of protecting Maya from the ugliness of the world. She was done. Listen to me very carefully, she said, her voice low and dangerous. When this plane lands, I'm going to file a complaint that will end your career. I am going to contact every news station in Florida. I am going to make sure the whole world knows exactly what kind of person Victoria Hayes is, and when they're done with you, you won't be able to get a job serving coffee at a gas station. Do you understand me? Something flickered in Victoria's eyes. Fear, rage, both. You can't threaten me. I just did. Ryan was moving down the aisle now. Other passengers were standing, sensing danger. Ma'am, his voice was authoritative. Step aside and let these passengers through. Victoria's head swiveled toward him. You again. I told you to mind your business. And I told you I would. This is me minding my business. And you have no authority here. I have eyes, I have a phone, and so do about 30 other people on this aircraft right now. He gestured at the passengers recording the confrontation. Whatever you're thinking about doing, don't. For a long, terrible moment, Victoria's gaze bounced between Ryan, Denise, Maya, and the phones capturing everything. Then something shifted in her expression. The mask slid back into place. Fine. She stepped aside, pressing herself against the seats. Go on, get to your precious seats. Denise grabbed Maya's hand and pushed past her. Maya kept her head down, trying to make herself as small as possible. They reached row 24. Denise buckled Maya in with trembling hands. Mama, Maya's voice was barely audible. I don't like it here. I want to go home. Denise's heart shattered. I know, baby, I know. Just a few more minutes and we'll be on the ground. Promise? I promise. Ryan returned to his seat, but he stayed unbuckled. His eyes never left Victoria. She had returned to the forward galley. She stood perfectly still, staring at nothing. Something had broken inside her. He could see it. She wasn't just angry anymore. She was dangerous. Ladies and gentlemen, we have begun our final descent into Orlando International Airport. Please ensure your seat belts are securely fastened. Maya pressed her face against the window. The ground was closer now. She could see Highway's neighborhood swimming pools glittering like blue jewels. Look, Mama, palm trees. Denise leaned over. I see them, baby. Grandma showed me pictures of palm trees once. She said they looked like fireworks made of leaves. That's beautiful. Maya was quiet for a moment. Then, Mama, do you think Grandma would be proud of me, even though I cried? Oh, Maya. Denise pulled her daughter close. Grandma would be so proud of you. You were braver than anyone should have to be. I don't feel brave. I feel scared. That's what brave is, baby, feeling scared but keeping going anyway. The plane descended lower. The wheels locked into place with a mechanical thunk that made Maya jump. It's okay, Denise soothed. That's just the landing gear. The what? The wheels. They're coming down so we can land. Maya watched out the window as the runway approached. Closer, closer. The wheels touched down with a gentle bump. We made it, Mama. We're in Florida. We sure are, baby. The plane taxied toward the gate. Passengers immediately started gathering their things, ignoring the flight attendant's reminder to stay seated. Maya unbuckled and started to stand, but Denise gently pushed her back down. Let's wait, okay? Let the crowd thin out. Maya understood. She didn't want to see Victoria again either. They waited. The aisle slowly cleared. Most passengers had deplaned. Finally, Denise stood. Okay, let's go. She grabbed their carry-on from the overhead bin, took Maya's hand and started toward the exit. The cockpit door was open. The pilot was chatting with a ground crew member. Sarah stood nearby, checking the cabin one last time. She caught Maya's eye and smiled. You did great, pilot. I hope Orlando treats you well. Thank you. Maya said quietly. They were almost there, almost off this nightmare, almost free. And then Victoria appeared. She stepped out from behind the galley partition, blocking their path. Denise stopped cold. Her grip on Maya's hand tightened. "We're leaving," she said flatly. "We don't want trouble." Victoria didn't respond. She just stood there staring at Maya with those pale, empty eyes. "Victoria," Sarah's voice was sharp. "Let them through." Nothing. "Victoria." "I just wanted to say goodbye," Victoria said. Her voice was strange, hollow. "I hope you enjoy Florida. I'm sure you'll feel right at home with all the other tourists." Yeah, the implication was clear. The hatred was naked. Denise felt rage rising in her throat, but they were so close. Just a few more steps. "Come on, Maya." She tried to move past, but Victoria shifted, still blocking the aisle. "Excuse me. I said enjoy your trip." Victoria's eyes locked onto Maya. "Your grandmother would be so proud of how you behaved today." Maya looked up at her, at this woman who had made her cry, who had ruined her dress, who had called her names and made her feel small and scared and wrong. And something happened. Instead of fear, Maya felt something else. Pity. "Why are you so sad?" she asked. Victoria blinked. "What? You seem really, really sad. That's why you're mean, right? Because you're hurting." Victoria's face went pale. "My teacher says people are mean when they're hurting inside," Maya continued. "And Grandma said we should pray for people who need help." "Maya," Denise started. "I'm going to pray for you," Maya said to Victoria. "I hope you feel better. I hope whatever's making you so sad goes away." Something cracked in Victoria's expression. "Pray for me?" Her voice rose. "You think I need prayers from someone like you?" "Maya, let's go." Denise pulled her daughter forward. "Don't you walk away from me." Victoria grabbed Maya's arm. "Get your hands off my daughter." Denise yanked Maya back, but Victoria held on. Her fingers dug into Maya's small arm hard enough to leave bruises. "Let go!" Maya screamed. Ryan was running now. Sarah was shouting for the pilot. Passengers who hadn't yet deplaned were yelling, recording pointing. "You think you can just waltz through life?" Victoria's face was twisted inhuman. "Taking everything that isn't yours, ruining everything you touch. Let go of her." Denise was clawing at Victoria's hand. "Your grandmother prayed." Victoria laughed, a horrible broken sound. "Did her prayers save her from dying? Did they save you from getting on my airplane? Don't talk about my grandma." Maya was crying, struggling. "Don't you talk about her." And then Victoria said it. The word, the slur that carries 400 years of American cruelty. The cabin went silent. Maya didn't fully understand the word, but she understood the hatred behind it. She understood it was the worst thing you could call someone. "Mama!" she screamed. Ryan was almost there. Sarah was running. The pilot was emerging from the cockpit. But Victoria was faster. She released Maya's arm, drew back her fist, and swung. The blow connected with Maya's face with a sickening crack. Blood exploded from her nose. Her lips split open. Her small body flew backwards, slamming against the bulkhead. She crumpled to the floor. Her grandmother's yellow dress bloomed crimson. And Maya Thompson's scream echoed through the airplane like the end of innocence itself. Ryan Mitchell moved before his brain caught up with his body. 15 years of FBI training took over. His legs carried him forward. His arms reached out. His voice roared through the cabin like thunder. "FBI, stop!" Victoria was drawing back for a second blow. Her fist was raised. Her eyes were wild. She was going to hit Maya again. Ryan grabbed her wrist mid-swing. Victoria screamed, "Get off me!" "You're done!" Ryan twisted her arm behind her back, forcing her against the galley partition. "You're under arrest for assault on a minor." "You can't do this! You're not in uniform!" "I don't need a uniform to stop you from beating a child." Victoria thrashed like a trapped animal. She kicked, she bit, she screamed obscenities that would make a sailor blush. Ryan held firm. "Help!" Victoria shrieked at the passengers still on the plane. "He's attacking me! Someone help!" Nobody moved to help her. What they did was record. Every phone on that aircraft was pointed at Victoria Hayes. Every camera captured her snarling face, her flailing limbs, her complete and utter breakdown. "You're making a mistake," Victoria's voice cracked. "I'm the victim here. That child attacked me." "That child is 8 years old," Ryan said through gritted teeth, "and you just punched her in the face." On the floor, Denise was cradling Maya in her arms. Blood poured from Maya's nose. Her lip was split open. Her left eye was already swelling shut. "Baby, stay with me. Stay with me." Maya's eyes were glazed, unfocused. She was going into shock. "Mama," her voice was barely a whisper. "It hurts." "I know, baby. I know. Help is coming." "My dress. Grandma's dress." Maya looked down at herself. The yellow fabric was soaked with blood, red spreading across the daisies like a terrible sunrise. "It's ruined, Mama. It's all ruined." "Shh, don't worry about the dress. Don't worry about anything except staying awake for me." "I'm tired." "No. Maya, look at me. Look at me." Maya's eyes drifted toward her mother's face. "That's my girl. Keep looking at me. Don't close your eyes." Sarah dropped to her knees beside them, first aid kit in hand. Her face was white as chalk. Her hands were shaking. "Oh God. Oh my God." "Do something!" Denise screamed. Sarah fumbled with the kit, pulled out gauze, pressed it against Maya's nose. Maya whimpered in pain. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. I'm so sorry. I have to stop the bleeding. It hurts. I know it hurts. You're being so brave." The pilot emerged from the cockpit. Captain Williams was a tall black man in his 50s with graying temples and a commanding presence. He took one look at the scene and his face hardened to stone. "What the hell happened here?" "Your flight attendant assaulted a child," Ryan said, still pinning Victoria. "I need you to radio ahead for police and medical." "She's lying," Victoria shrieked. "They're all lying. That child was out of control." Captain Williams ignored her. He crouched beside Maya, his expression shifting from anger to anguish. "Sweetheart, can you hear me?" Maya's good eye focused on him. Are you the pilot?" "I am." "You fly the plane?" "I do." That's really cool." Captain Williams blinked rapidly. He cleared his throat. "You know what else is cool, you? You're the bravest passenger I've ever had." He stood and turned to Victoria. His voice was ice. 15 years I've known you, Victoria. 15 years. I always thought the complaints were exaggerated. I always gave you the benefit of the doubt." He shook his head slowly. "I was wrong, and I'm sorry." "Tom, please." Victoria's voice turned pleading. "You know me. You know I'm not like this. I lost control for 1 second." "You punched a child in the face. There's no coming back from that. But I'm radioing for police." "You're going to jail!" Captain Williams strode back to the cockpit. Victoria went limp in Ryan's grip. The fight drained out of her like water from a broken cup. "This wasn't supposed to happen," she mumbled. "This wasn't supposed to happen." "But it did," Ryan said coldly, "and now you're going to pay for it." Derek Morrison, the ex-Marine sitting in row 8, pushed his way forward. "You need help restraining her." Ryan nodded. "Watch her arms. She bites." Derek grabbed Victoria's other arm. Between the two of them, they had her completely immobilized. "You people," Victoria spat. "You're all in on it. You're all against me." "Lady, you're against yourself," Derek said. "Nobody made you hit that kid. That was all you." Victoria started crying, ugly gasping sobs that shook her whole body. I didn't mean to. She just made me so angry." "An 8-year-old made you angry." Derek's voice dripped with contempt. "What did she do?" Breathed too loud. "You don't understand. Nobody understands." "I understand just fine. You're a racist who beat up a little girl. That's all I need to know." On the floor, Maya was fading. Her eyes kept drooping closed. Her breathing was shallow. The gauze Sarah pressed against her face was soaked through with blood. Maya, wake up." Denise patted her daughter's cheek. Maya's eyes fluttered open. "Mama, I'm cold. I know, baby. Help is coming. Just stay with me. Is Peanut okay? Denise looked around frantically. Peanut the elephant had fallen somewhere during the chaos. She spotted him under a seat, his worn fabric stained with Maya's blood. He's fine, baby. Peanut's fine. Good. He was scared. Maya, keep your eyes open. Look at me. I'm trying, Mama, but I'm so tired. A woman appeared beside them, middle-aged professional calm under pressure. I'm Dr. Patricia Chen, Pediatric Emergency Medicine. Let me see her. Denise nearly collapsed with relief. Oh, thank God, thank God. Dr. Chen knelt down, her trained eyes assessing Maya's injuries. Sweetheart, I'm a doctor. I'm going to help you, okay? Maya tried to nod, but winced in pain. Don't move your head. Can you tell me your name? Maya Thompson. Good girl. Can you tell me how old you are? 8. And what day is it? Maya thought hard. Saturday. Close enough. Dr. Chen gently lifted the gauze from Maya's nose. Fresh blood welled up immediately. Possible nasal fracture. Definitely needs x-rays. The lip will need stitches. Is she going to be okay? Denise's voice cracked. She's going to need medical attention, but yes, she's going to be okay. Denise burst into tears. Dr. Chen turned to Sarah. Keep pressure on the nose, 15 minutes on, 5 minutes off, and get me ice for that eye. Yes, of course. Sarah scrambled to find ice. Doctor. Chen continued her examination, checking Maya's pupils, her neck, her limbs. No signs of concussion. Neck appears stable. She's very lucky. Lucky? Denise's voice was bitter. She got punched in the face. I know, I'm sorry, I meant physically lucky. The damage could have been much worse. Captain Williams' voice came over the intercom. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a medical emergency. Police and paramedics are waiting at the gate. Please remain in your seats and allow emergency personnel to board first. Through the windows, passengers could see flashing lights, red and blue bouncing off the terminal walls. Mama? Maya's voice was small. Am I in trouble? What, no, baby? No, you're not in trouble. Then why are there police? They're coming for her, Maya, the mean lady. She's going to jail. Maya's good eye moved toward Victoria, who was still being held by Ryan and Derek. Forever. For a long time, baby. Good. Maya's voice was harder than an 8-year-old's should ever be. She shouldn't hurt people. No, she shouldn't. The aircraft door opened. 2 police officers boarded first, followed closely by paramedics with a stretcher. FBI, Ryan called out. I have the suspect restrained. The officers moved toward him immediately. Special Agent Ryan Mitchell, he said. Off duty. This woman assaulted a minor. Multiple witnesses. Video evidence. The first officer, a young Hispanic man with sharp eyes, took in the scene. The blood, the crying child, the restrained flight attendant. Ma'am, you're under arrest for assault causing bodily harm to a minor. No, Victoria thrashed again. I won't let you. I won't. The second officer, an older black woman with no patience for nonsense, stepped forward with handcuffs. You can come quietly or you can come loudly. Either way, you're coming. This is discrimination. You're arresting me because I'm white. The officer actually laughed. Lady, I'm arresting you because you punched a child. Your skin color doesn't enter into it. She snapped the cuffs onto Victoria's wrists. Victoria Hayes, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. I want a lawyer. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you. I know my rights. Good. Then you know to shut up. The officers hauled Victoria to her feet. She was still screaming, still thrashing, still insisting she was the real victim. As they dragged her past Maya, Victoria suddenly lunged. This is your fault, she shrieked at the child. Yours. You ruined everything. Maya flinched, buried her face against her mother's chest. Ryan stepped between them, blocking Victoria's view. Get her out of here, now! The officers practically carried Victoria off the plane. Her screams echoed down the jet bridge until they faded into the distance. The paramedics moved in immediately. Ma'am, We need to examine your daughter." Denise didn't want to let go. Every instinct screamed at her to hold Maya tight and never release her. "Ma'am, please, we need to help her." Slowly, reluctantly, Denise loosened her grip. The paramedics were gentle, professional. One of them, a young woman with kind eyes, spoke directly to Maya. "Hey there, sweetie. My name's Rosa. I'm going to take really good care of you, okay?" "Okay. Can you tell me where it hurts?" "My face and my arm where she grabbed me." Rosa examined the bruises on Maya's arm, fingerprint-shaped marks that would darken over the next few days. "We're going to put you on a stretcher and take you to the hospital. Your mom's going to come with us." "What about Peanut?" Denise retrieved the blood-stained elephant and pressed him into Maya's arms. "He's right here, baby." Maya clutched Peanut to her chest. He was scared. "I know, but he's okay now. You're both okay now." They lifted Maya onto the stretcher. She looked impossibly small against the white sheets. Her yellow dress, her grandmother's dress, was ruined beyond repair. As they wheeled her toward the exit, Maya reached out and grabbed Ryan's hand. "Thank you." Ryan had to swallow hard before he could speak. "You're welcome, sweetheart." "You stopped her. You stopped her from hitting me again." "That's my job. Even when you're not working." "Especially when I'm not working." Maya managed a tiny smile. Then her grip loosened, and they wheeled her away. Denise lingered for just a moment. "I don't know how to thank you," she said to Ryan. "If you hadn't been here—" "Don't think about that. Just focus on Maya." Will you give a statement for the police?" "I'll do more than that. I'll make sure she never does this to anyone again." Denise squeezed his hand, then hurried after the stretcher. Ryan watched them go. His hands were shaking. Adrenaline crash. He'd felt it before, after firefights and takedowns and moments when everything could have gone wrong, but somehow went right. Sarah appeared beside him. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." I've never seen anything like that." "I hope you never do again." Sarah's eyes were red-rimmed. "I should have done more. I knew Victoria was dangerous. I knew she was escalating. If I'd reported her more aggressively—" "This isn't your fault, isn't it? I saw the warning signs. I saw how she looked at that little girl, and I told myself it would be fine, that Victoria wouldn't actually do anything. We all tell ourselves that, right up until someone does something." Sarah started crying, quiet tears that streamed down her face. "That child was so sweet. She didn't do anything wrong. She said please and thank you. She smiled at everyone." "I know. And Victoria just destroyed her." "Not destroyed. Maya's going to be okay. She's strong." "She's 8. Strong comes in all sizes." Captain Williams approached them. His face was drawn aged 10 years in the last hour. "Agent Mitchell, I need you to give a statement to the police." "Of course. And then, I need to make some phone calls." He ran a hand over his face. "The airline is going to want to spin this. Protect their image. I'm not going to let them." Ryan studied him. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I'm going to tell the truth. The whole truth. Victoria Hayes has been a problem for years. Complaints from passengers, warnings from crew members, and corporate swept it all under the rug because she had seniority." His jaw tightened. "Not anymore. Not after this. That could cost you your job." "Some things are more important than jobs." Ryan nodded slowly. "Yes, they are." Captain Williams extended his hand. Ryan shook it. "Thank you for what you did. If you hadn't been here, someone else would have stepped up. Maybe, maybe not. But you did. That matters." The captain walked toward the police officers waiting on the jet bridge. Sarah was still standing there, tears still falling. "What happens now?" she asked. Now Victoria goes to jail. Now Maya goes to the hospital. Now everyone who recorded this is going to post it online, and by tomorrow the whole world is going to know what happened on this flight. And then maybe things change. Maybe airlines stop protecting people like Victoria. Maybe they start listening when passengers complain about discrimination. You really think that'll happen? Ryan was quiet for a long moment. I think it has to start somewhere. It might as well start here. Outside, the aircraft chaos was erupting. News had spread fast. Someone on the plane had posted video while they were still taxiing to the gate. It was already being shared, reshared, commented on. Justice. For Maya started trending within 15 minutes. Reporters were arriving at the airport. Cameras, microphones, people who smelled blood in the water and wanted the story. Ryan gave his statement to the police, names times exact quotes. Everything he could remember, and he could remember a lot. His training had made him an excellent witness. The officer taking his statement, Detective Maria Santos, listened with growing horror. She really said that the N-word. She really said it, right before she punched the child. And this was in front of other passengers. At least 30 people witnessed it, most of them recorded video. Detective Santos shook her head slowly. In 20 years on the force, I've seen a lot of terrible things. But this, a flight attendant attacking a child. Some people hide their hatred until they can't anymore. Then it all comes out at once. Well, she's going to have a long time to think about that. Assault on a minor, hate crime enhancement, she's looking at serious time. Good. Ryan provided his contact information, his badge number, his supervisor's name. He would testify in court if needed. He would do whatever it took to make sure Victoria Hayes faced justice. When he finally walked off the plane, the terminal was a circus. Reporters surged toward him. Cameras flashed. Questions were shouted from every direction. Agent Mitchell, can you tell us what happened? Is it true you saved a child from being beaten? What was going through your mind when you intervened? How does it feel to be a hero? Ryan pushed through them without answering. He had no interest in being a hero. He'd done what needed to be done. Nothing more. But then he saw something that made him stop. A little girl, maybe 5 or 6, was watching him from behind her mother's legs. She had dark skin and braided hair, just like Maya. "Mommy," she said loudly, "is that the man who saved the girl?" Her mother looked embarrassed. "Shh, honey, don't bother him." Ryan crouched down to the child's level. "What's your name?" "Destiny." "That's a beautiful name, Destiny." "My mama says you're a hero." Ryan glanced up at the mother who was blinking back tears. "I'm not a hero," he told Destiny. "I just did what anyone should do when they see someone getting hurt." "But most people don't," Destiny said with the brutal honesty of childhood. "Most people just watch." Ryan had no answer for that. At Orlando Regional Medical Center, Maya was rushed into the emergency room. Doctors and nurses swarmed around her. X-rays were taken. Her nose was examined. Her lip was stitched. Through it all, Maya was brave. She didn't scream when they cleaned her wounds. She didn't cry when they stitched her lip. She held her mother's hand and squeezed Peanut and answered every question the doctors asked. "On a scale of 1 to 10, how much does it hurt?" 7. "Can you wiggle your fingers for me?" She wiggled. "Can you follow this light with your eyes?" She followed. The doctors were amazed by her composure. "Most adults don't handle this as well as you are," one of them told her. "You're very strong." "My mama says strong is doing hard things even when you're scared." "Your mama's right." The X-rays came back. Her nose wasn't broken, just badly bruised. Her lip would heal. The black eye would fade. Physically, Maya would recover. Emotionally was another question. Denise sat beside her daughter's hospital bed, clutching her hand, unable to stop the tears. "I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry I didn't protect you." "You did protect me, Mama. You tried to stop her." "But I couldn't. I couldn't stop her from hurting you." Nobody could. She was really, really angry. Maya thought for a moment. She must have been hurting a lot. Inside, I mean, to be that angry. Denise stared at her daughter. "How can you say that, after what she did to you?" "Grandma said hurt people hurt people." "Hurt. Remember. But Maya, she punched you. She called you horrible names." "I know. And I'm mad at her. Really, really mad. But I also feel sorry for her. She has so much poison inside. That must be lonely. Denise pulled Maya into a gentle hug, mindful of her injuries. You are the most incredible person I have ever known. Mama, I'm just a kid. No, baby. You're so much more than that. The hospital room door opened. A nurse peeked in. Mrs. Thompson, there's a man here to see you. Says his name is Ryan Mitchell. Denise looked at Maya. Do you want to see him? Maya nodded. He's the nice FBI man. He saved me. Ryan entered quietly. He'd cleaned up, washed the blood off his hands, straightened his clothes, but exhaustion was evident in every line of his face. How is she? The doctors say she'll be okay. Nothing broken. That's good. That's really good. Ryan approached the bed. Hey there, pilot. How are you feeling? Sore, but okay. That's the spirit. He pulled something from his pocket. I thought you might want this back. It was Maya's plastic pilot wings. They must have fallen off during the attack. Maya's face lit up. You found them. They were on the floor by row 24. I grabbed them before I left. Maya took the wings and clutched them to her chest right next to Peanut. Thank you. Sarah gave these to me. She was nice. She was. She felt really bad about what happened. It wasn't her fault. No, it wasn't anyone's fault except Victoria's. Maya was quiet for a moment. Then, is she in jail? She is. Forever. For a while. There's going to be a trial. A judge will decide how long. Will I have to see her again? Ryan and Denise exchanged a look. Maybe, Denise said gently, if they need you to testify, to tell the truth about what happened. Fear flickered across Maya's face. I don't want to see her. I know, baby. But if you do have to, I'll be right there with you. You won't be alone. Promise. I promise. And maybe... Denise looked at Ryan. Maybe there will be other people there too. People who saw what happened. People who will tell the truth with you. Ryan nodded. I'll be there, Maya. If you have to testify, I'll be right in that courtroom. Maya relaxed slightly. Okay. If you're there, maybe it won't be so scary. The hospital room door opened again. This time a tall woman in a bright floral dress burst in. Where is she? Where's my baby niece? Aunt Keisha. Maya tried to sit up, wincing at the pain, but her face was pure joy. Keisha Thompson flew across the room and enveloped Maya in the gentlest bear hug humanly possible. Oh, baby girl. Oh, my sweet baby girl. I came as fast as I could. I'm okay, Auntie. I look worse than I feel. Keisha pulled back, taking in Maya's battered face. Her expression shifted from relief to fury in a heartbeat. When I find the woman who did this, Keisha, Denise's voice was warning, she's already in jail. Jail isn't enough. I know what you want to do, but Maya needs us to be calm right now. Keisha took a deep breath, then another. Then she turned back to Maya with a forced smile. You know what, baby girl, when you get out of here, we're going straight to my restaurant. I'm going to make you the biggest bowl of mac and cheese you've ever seen. With extra cheese on top. With extra cheese on top, and fried chicken, and sweet potato pie, and whatever else you want. Maya actually smiled. That sounds really good. It's going to be really good, and then we're going to Disney World, all of us, my treat. Really, really, really. Denise started to protest. She knew her sister couldn't afford Disney tickets, but Keisha silenced her with a look. This baby has been through hell. She deserves some magic. Ryan quietly slipped toward the door. This was a family moment. He didn't belong here. Wait. Maya's voice stopped him. Are you leaving? I have to give more statements to the police, make sure everything is documented. Will I see you again? Ryan hesitated. He was supposed to fly to Miami tomorrow, see his mother, take a vacation. But looking at Maya's battered face, at the hope in her one good eye, he knew that vacation could wait. Yeah, he said. You'll see me again. Maya smiled. It was small, her split lip made smiling painful, but it was real. Good, because I think we're friends now. Ryan felt something shift in his chest. something he hadn't felt in a long time. "Yeah, pilot, I think we are." He walked out of the hospital room. Behind him, he could hear Keisha asking Maya about every detail of the flight. He could hear Denise finally breaking down sobbing in her sister's arms. He could hear Maya trying to comfort them both, being strong, even when she had every right to fall apart. That kid was something special. And Ryan Mitchell was going to make damn sure the woman who hurt her paid for every second of pain she'd caused. In the Orlando Police Department holding cell, Victoria Hayes sat alone. The reality of her situation was starting to sink in. She was going to be charged with assault, maybe a hate crime. She was going to lose her job, probably lose her apartment, definitely lose whatever was left of her reputation. All because of a little girl in a yellow dress. No, she corrected herself. All because of you. You did this. Nobody else. For the first time in years, Victoria couldn't lie to herself. She thought about Maya's face, the way her nose had crunched under Victoria's fist, the blood spraying across that yellow fabric, the child's scream. She thought about what she'd said, the slur, the hatred, the poison that had poured out of her like lava. She thought about her father, the man who'd taught her to hate, the man who'd never met a person of color he didn't despise. She thought about her mother, the woman who'd never challenged her husband, who'd nodded along with his rants, who'd passed his poison to the next generation. She thought about all the years she'd spent nurturing that hatred, feeding it, letting it grow until it consumed her. And for what? For this. For sitting alone in a jail cell, knowing that the whole world would soon see her for what she truly was, a monster. Victoria Hayes put her head in her hands and began to cry. But somewhere in those tears, mixed with the self-pity and the fear, was something else. Something that might have been the first stirring of shame. The video hit the internet at 4:47 p.m. Eastern Time. By 5:00 p.m., it had 10,000 views. By 6:00 p.m., it had crossed 1 million. By midnight, the whole world knew Maya Thompson's name. The footage was brutal, undeniable. A flight attendant in uniform screaming racial slurs at a child, a fist connecting with a small face, blood spraying across a yellow dress, a mother's scream that would haunt anyone who heard it. Justice. For Maya exploded across every platform. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. News channels picked it up. Morning shows scrambled for the story. Everyone wanted to know who Maya Thompson was, who Victoria Hayes was, and how something this horrific could happen on a commercial flight. At Orlando Regional Medical Center, Denise's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. "Mrs. Thompson, this is CNN. We'd like to..." "Mrs. Thompson, Fox News here. Can you comment on..." "Mrs. Thompson, I'm from the New York Times. We're running a story about..." She stopped answering after the 20th call. "Mama!" Maya stirred in her hospital bed. "Who keeps calling? Nobody important, baby. Go back to sleep." "But your phone keeps making noise." Denise turned it off completely. The world could wait. Her daughter could not. Keisha stood guard by the door, arms crossed, ready to physically remove anyone who tried to enter without permission. "This is insane," she muttered. "How do they even have your number?" "I don't know. Maybe the airline released it. Maybe someone on the plane shared it." "That's illegal, isn't it?" "Probably. But right now, I don't care about that. I just care about her." They both looked at Maya. She'd fallen back asleep, peanut tucked under her chin, her battered face peaceful in the dim light. "She's going to be okay," Keisha said softly. "She's tough. I know she's tough. That's what scares me. She shouldn't have to be this tough. She's 8 years old. Kids are resilient. She shouldn't have to be resilient. She should be worried about homework and cartoons and what flavor ice cream she wants. Not this." Keisha put her arm around her sister. I know. They stood in silence, watching Maya sleep. Outside the hospital, news vans were already gathering. Marcus Thompson landed at Orlando International at 11:32 p.m. He'd caught the first flight out of Chicago the moment Denise called him. The whole way he'd watched the video on his phone, over and over, watching a stranger punch his baby girl in the face. By the time he landed, he was ready to kill someone. "Mr. Thompson, I'm Detective Santos. I'll take you to the hospital." Marcus didn't speak. He couldn't. If he opened his mouth, he would scream, and he wasn't sure he'd be able to stop. The drive took 15 minutes. Marcus stared out the window, hands clenched so tight his knuckles were white. "Your daughter is stable," Detective Santos said. "No serious injuries. She's very brave. She's 8. I know. She was just going to visit her aunt. First flight of her life. She was so excited. I'm sorry, Mr. Thompson." "Sorry doesn't fix what that woman did to her. No, it doesn't." At the hospital, Marcus burst through Maya's door like a man possessed. "Daddy!" Maya's face lit up, the one part that could still light up through the bruising, and she reached for him with both arms. Marcus crossed the room in 3 strides and gathered his daughter against his chest. He held her like she might disappear, like the world might try to take her from him again. "Baby girl, my baby girl." "I'm okay, Daddy. I'm okay." "I know. I know you're okay. His voice broke. "I had to see you. I had to hold you. The mean lady hit me, but a nice FBI man stopped her. I heard. I saw the video." "You saw the video?" Marcus pulled back, looking at Denise with alarm. "The whole world has seen the video, baby." Maya's good eye went wide. "The whole world. It's everywhere. News, internet, everywhere. But I look ugly. My face is all messed up." "You could never look ugly," Marcus said fiercely. "You're beautiful. You're the most beautiful girl in the world." "Daddy, you have to say that. You're my dad." "I say it because it's true." Maya managed a small smile. Then her face grew serious. "Daddy, everyone saw what she called me." Marcus's jaw tightened. "Yes. The bad word yes. Do people know what it means?" The word she said. Marcus looked at Denise, at Keisha. They were all fighting the same battle. "How do you explain 400 years of hatred to an 8-year-old? "It's a word some people use to hurt black people," Marcus said carefully. "It's a word that's been used for a very long time to make people like us feel small, less than human. But we're not less than human. No, baby, we're not. That word says nothing about us and everything about the person who uses it." "That's what Mama said." "Your mama's smart." Maya thought for a moment. "So when she called me that, she was trying to make me feel small." "Yes." "Well, it didn't work." Maya's chin lifted. "I don't feel small. I feel angry and sad, but not small." Marcus felt tears spill down his cheeks, pride and grief and love all mixed together. "That's my girl." The next morning, the hospital was under siege. Reporters lined up outside the entrance. News helicopters circled overhead. Security had to be tripled just to keep people out. Inside Maya's room, the Thompson family huddled together, trying to decide what to do. "We have to say something," Keisha argued. "The story is out there. If we don't control the narrative, someone else will." "She's a child," Denise shot back. "I'm not parading her in front of cameras." "I'm not saying parade her. I'm saying we talk, tell our side. Our side is on video. Everyone's already seen it. They've seen the attack. They haven't heard Maya's voice. They haven't heard what led up to it." Marcus stood by the window watching the circus below. "She's right, Denise. The airline is already spinning. I heard their statement on the news this morning." "What did they say?" "That they're investigating the incident and that this does not reflect their values. Standard corporate bullshit." "So we let them control the story," Keisha pressed. "We let them pretend this was just one bad employee. What else can we do? Fight back." They all turned to look at Maya. She was sitting up in bed, Peanut in her lap, watching them with her one good eye. "What did you say, baby?" Denise asked. "Fight back. Like Grandma always said, don't let bullies win." "This isn't a schoolyard bully, sweetie. This is, I know what it is, I'm not stupid." Maya's voice was sharper than any of them expected. "That lady hated me because I'm black. She hit me because she hated me. And now everyone knows. So why shouldn't I fight back?" The adults exchanged looks. "What exactly do you want to do?" Marcus asked. "Talk. Tell people what happened. Tell people how scared I was. Tell people that I was just trying to go see Aunt Keisha's restaurant and that lady ruined everything." Maya's hands tightened on Peanut. "And tell people that even though she hurt me, she didn't break me. Grandma said you can't break someone who knows their worth." Denise felt her heart crack open. "Maya, I want to fight Mama. Can I fight?" For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Marcus walked over to his daughter, sat on the edge of her bed, and took her hands. "You want to know something? When I was about your age, your grandma took me to a civil rights museum. She showed me pictures of little girls who fought against hatred. Little girls, not much older than you, who marched and protested and stood up to people who wanted to hurt them. And you know what she said?" "What?" "She said those girls changed the world. Not because they were special, but because they were brave enough to tell their truth. So I can be brave like them." "Baby, you already are brave like them." Maya's chin lifted. "Then let's fight." Denise wiped her eyes. Okay, baby. If that's what you want, we'll fight." Keisha was already pulling out her phone. "I know a reporter, local station. She's good, fair. She covered my restaurant opening last month. She'll treat Maya right." "Call her," Marcus said. Keisha dialed. The call was answered on the first ring. "Angela, it's Keisha Thompson. Yeah, that Maya Thompson. She's my niece. Listen, she wants to tell her story." By 2:00 p.m., a camera crew was set up in a private room at the hospital. Angela Morrison was exactly as Keisha described, professional, warm, respectful. She'd specifically asked for no studio lights that might hurt Maya's injured eye. She'd agreed to let Denise review questions beforehand. She'd promised to focus on Maya's experience, not the sensational details. Maya sat between her parents wearing a fresh yellow t-shirt Keisha had bought from the hospital gift shop. Not the same as her grandmother's dress, but the color mattered. Yellow was her power color. She wasn't giving it up. "Whenever you're ready, sweetie," Angela said gently. Maya took a deep breath. "I'm ready. Can you tell me about your flight? What were you feeling when you got on that airplane?" "Excited." Maya's face softened at the memory. "It was my first time flying. I was so excited. I couldn't wait to see the clouds. Mama said they would look like cotton candy, and they did." "When did things start to go wrong?" "When I saw her, the mean lady, Victoria." Maya said the name carefully, like it might bite. "She looked at me weird, like she didn't like me. I didn't know why. I hadn't done anything yet. We'd just gotten on the plane." "What did she do?" "First she blocked the aisle, told us our seats were in the back, but we already knew that. She wanted to make us feel bad, I think. Then later she spilled juice on my dress. On purpose." "How do you know it was on purpose?" "Because she slammed it down, like this." Maya mimed the motion. "And she didn't apologize. She just walked away." "That must have been upsetting." "It was my grandma's dress." Maya's voice caught. "My grandma died last year. She made me that dress before she went to heaven. It was my favorite thing in the whole world. And now it's ruined. Forever." Angela paused, giving Maya space to compose herself. "What happened after the juice incident?" Maya walked through the whole story, the turbulence, Victoria telling her to stop making noise, the bathroom encounter, the "you people" comment, everything building toward the final confrontation. "And then I said something to her when we were getting off the plane." "What did you say?" "I said I would pray for her." Angela blinked. "You said you would pray for her." "My grandma taught me that. She said when people are mean, it's because they're hurting inside. So you should pray for them. Help them heal." "And how did Victoria respond?" Maya's face darkened. "She got really, really angry. She said she didn't need prayers from someone like me, and then she grabbed my arm, hard. It still has bruises, see." Maya held up her arm. The fingerprint-shaped marks were vivid against her brown skin. "And then she said a word, a really bad word, the worst word." "You don't have to say it." "I know. I don't want to say it. It's ugly." Maya paused. "And then she hit me." "What do you remember about being hit?" "Pain, a lot of pain. And I fell down, and there was blood everywhere, on my dress, on the floor, on my hands." Maya's voice dropped to a whisper. "I thought I was going to die." Denise squeezed her daughter's hand. Marcus's jaw was clenched so tight he could barely breathe. "But you didn't die," Angela said softly. "No, because the nice man stopped her, the FBI man. He grabbed her before she could hit me again." "What would you like to say to him?" "Thank you." Maya's good eye filled with tears. "Thank you for saving me. Thank you for not just watching like some people do. Thank you for being brave." "And what would you say to Victoria Hayes if you could speak to her right now?" Maya thought for a long moment. The question hung in the air. "I would say, I forgive you." Angela's eyes widened. "You forgive her?" "Not because what she did was okay. It wasn't. It was really, really wrong. But my grandma said holding on to anger is like drinking poison and hoping the other person gets sick. I don't want to be poisoned. I want to be free." "That's very mature for someone your age." "My grandma was smart. I try to remember what she taught me." "One last question, Maya. What do you want people to know? Everyone watching this, what's your message to them?" Maya sat up straighter, looked directly into the camera. Her battered face was illuminated with something that transcended her injuries, a light that came from somewhere deeper than skin. "I want people to know that hate doesn't win. It might hurt you. It might knock you down. It might make you bleed. But it doesn't win. Because love is stronger. And kindness is stronger. And the truth is always stronger." She took a breath. "And I want people to know that if someone is mean to you because of how you look, or where you come from, or what you believe, that's their problem, not yours. You are worthy. You are valuable. You matter. And don't let anyone make you feel otherwise." Angela had to wipe her eyes before she could respond. "Thank you, Maya. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for listening." The interview aired that evening at 6:00 p.m. By 7:00 p.m., it had been picked up by every major network. By 8:00 p.m., Maya Thompson had become a symbol. The response was overwhelming. Letters poured in by the thousands, cards, gifts. Donations to a GoFundMe that someone had set up without the family's knowledge, it had already topped $200,000 and was climbing fast. Celebrities posted support on social media. Politicians called for investigations. The airline's stock dropped 8% in after-hours trading. And somewhere in an Orlando jail cell, Victoria Hayes watched it all unfold on a common room television. She saw Maya's battered face. She heard Maya's words. She watched Maya forgive her. And something inside Victoria, something that had been frozen solid for 47 years, finally began to crack. "That kid," another inmate said sitting beside her, "that kid's got more class than half the adults I know." Victoria said nothing. "You really did that? Hit a little girl like that?" Victoria still said nothing. "Damn, that's cold, even for this place that's cold." Victoria stood up and walked back to her cell. She sat on her bunk staring at the wall. She thought about Maya's face. Not the bloody, battered face, the other one. The one that had looked at her with pity instead of hatred. The one that had offered to pray for her. Pray for me. When was the last time anyone had prayed for Victoria Hayes? When was the last time anyone had shown her kindness she didn't earn or demand or manipulate out of them? She couldn't remember. She thought about her father, the man who had filled her head with poison from the moment she could understand words. "They're different from us," he'd said. "They're not as good. They don't deserve what we have." She'd believed him. For 47 years, she'd believed him. And where had it gotten her a jail cell? A destroyed career, her name becoming synonymous with hatred and violence. She thought about the little girl she'd hit, Maya. The name kept running through her head. Maya, who had smiled at everyone on the plane. Maya, who had said please and thank you. Maya, who had worried about her grandmother's dress. Maya, who had offered forgiveness to the woman who bloodied her face. What kind of person does that? What kind of person had Victoria become that a child had more humanity than she did? For the first time in her entire life, Victoria Hayes truly saw herself. And she wept. 3 days later, Ryan Mitchell walked into the hospital room with an unexpected visitor. Maya, there's someone here who wants to meet you. Maya looked up from the book Aunt Keisha had brought her. Her black eye had faded to a yellow-green bruise. Her lip was healing. She looked almost like herself again. Who? Ryan stepped aside and a tall woman in a suit entered the room. She had silver hair, sharp eyes, and an air of authority that filled the space. Maya Thompson, I'm Director Patricia Holloway, FBI. Maya's eye went wide. The FBI, like the real FBI. The real FBI. Director Holloway smiled warmly. I've heard a lot about you. Agent Mitchell couldn't stop talking about how brave you were. He said that he did. He also said you have the makings of a great agent yourself. Maya giggled. I'm only 8. That's okay. We accept applications from people of all ages. Holloway winked. I came because I wanted to personally thank you for your courage. And to give you something. She handed Maya a small velvet box. Maya opened it carefully. Inside was a gold pin shaped like the FBI seal. This is a special commendation pin. We give it to civilians who show extraordinary bravery in crisis situations. You're the youngest person ever to receive one. Really? Really? You stayed calm. You cooperated with first responders. You told the truth even when it was hard. And most importantly, you didn't let hatred change who you are. That's exactly what we look for in our agents. Maya held the pin like it was made of diamonds. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Holloway looked at Denise and Marcus. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, I also want you to know that the FBI is monitoring this case closely. We take hate crimes very seriously, especially against children. We'll be working with local prosecutors to ensure Victoria Hayes faces the full weight of the law. What kind of charges? Marcus asked. Assault causing bodily harm, hate crime enhancement, potentially federal civil rights violations. She's looking at significant time. Good, Denise said flatly. She deserves every second. I understand your anger. Anyone would feel the same. Holloway paused. But I also want to caution you, there's going to be a trial. It might get ugly. Victoria's defense team will try to paint her as the victim, try to claim provocation, try anything to reduce her sentence. You'll need to be prepared for that. We'll be ready, Marcus said. Whatever it takes. I believe you will be. Holloway shook their hands. If you need anything at all, Agent Mitchell knows how to reach me. She left and Ryan lingered. How are you really doing? He asked Maya. Better. The doctor says I can go home tomorrow. That's great news. Ryan. Maya's voice was suddenly small. Do you think she'll go to prison for real? I think so. There's too much evidence. Too many witnesses. What if she doesn't? What if she gets away with it? Ryan crouched beside her bed. Then we'll fight. We'll appeal. We'll make noise until someone listens. But Maya, I've been doing this for 15 years. I've seen a lot of trials, and I've never seen a case more clear-cut than yours. She's not getting away with this. Promise. I promise. Maya nodded slowly. Okay, I trust you. Good. Now get some rest. You've got a mac and cheese dinner waiting for you at your aunt's restaurant. Maya's face brightened. With extra cheese? With extra cheese. Best news I've heard all week. Ryan laughed, a genuine laugh, the first one in days. As he walked out, Denise followed him. Ryan, wait. He turned. I don't know how to repay you for everything you've done. You don't owe me anything. That's not true. You saved my daughter's life. You've been here every day. You brought the FBI director to meet her, for God's sake. I did what anyone would do. No, Denise's voice was firm. You did what most people should do, but don't. There's a difference. Ryan was quiet for a moment. Can I tell you something? He finally said. Of course. I've been in the FBI for 15 years. I've seen terrible things, done difficult things, caught bad guys, put them in prison, watched them go free on technicalities. After a while, you start to wonder if any of it matters, if you're actually making a difference. And now I know I am, because of Maya, because she's still here, still smiling, still wearing yellow, even after everything that woman did to her. His voice roughened. That matters. That's why I do this job." Denise hugged him, tight. The hug of a mother expressing gratitude that words couldn't capture. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for being one of the good ones. There are more good ones than you think. Sometimes they just need a reason to show up. Maya was that reason. Maya was that reason." The next morning, Maya Thompson was discharged from the hospital. She walked out the front doors on her own 2 feet, one hand holding her mother's, the other clutching Peanut. Her father walked beside her Aunt Keisha behind them. A crowd had gathered, supporters, well-wishers, people who had followed the story and wanted to show their love. "Maya, Maya, Maya." They chanted her name. Someone had made signs, "Justice for Maya. Love wins." "We stand with you." Maya stopped, overwhelmed. "There's so many people." "They're here for you, baby," Denise said. "They wanted to see you walk out of here." "But why?" "Because you gave them hope. Because your story reminded them that courage comes in small packages." Maya looked at the crowd, at the signs, at the faces, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, all kinds of people standing together. She raised her hand, a small wave, shy, uncertain. The crowd erupted. "We love you, Maya. Stay strong. You're our hero." And despite everything, the pain, the fear, the hatred she'd experienced, Maya Thompson smiled. It hurt her healing lip. It was worth it. In the days that followed, life began to find its rhythm again. Maya spent a week at Aunt Keisha's house eating mac and cheese and fried chicken and sweet potato pie until she thought she might burst. Keisha's restaurant became an unofficial headquarters for supporters. People came from all over Florida just to eat at the place Maya's family owned. The GoFundMe reached $500,000, then $750,000, then $1 million. Denise and Marcus decided to put most of it into a college fund for Maya and donate the rest to organizations fighting hate crimes. Ryan stayed in Orlando longer than planned. His mother understood. He called her every day, explained what was happening, promised to visit soon. "That little girl needs you," his mother said. "Stay as long as she needs." "You sure, Didi, mijo, you've spent your whole career protecting strangers. It's nice to see you protecting someone who's becoming family." Family. The word stuck with Ryan. He'd never had children of his own, never found the time, never found the right person. But sitting with Maya, watching her heal, seeing her strength, he understood what he'd been missing. "Will you come to my birthday?" Maya asked him one afternoon. "When is it?" "3 months. I'll be 9. That's almost 10. That's almost a teenager." Ryan laughed. "That's still a few years away. But will you come?" "I'll be there, I promise." "You promise a lot." "I only promise things, I mean." Maya considered this. "That's a good policy. I'm going to do that too. Only promise things, I mean." Smart girl. "I know," she grinned. "That's what everyone keeps telling me." 2 weeks after the attack, Victoria Hayes had her preliminary hearing. The courtroom was packed. Media, supporters, curious onlookers, everyone wanted to see the woman who had become the face of racist violence. Victoria was led in wearing an orange jumpsuit. She looked smaller than she had on the plane, diminished. The rage that had consumed her seemed to have burned out, leaving something hollow behind. Maya was not present. Her parents had decided it was too soon. But Denise and Marcus were there, seated in the front row. Ryan sat behind them, ready to testify if needed. The prosecutor laid out the charges: assault causing bodily harm to a minor, hate crime enhancement, use of racial slurs to intimidate, reckless endangerment. Victoria's lawyer, a public defender named James Chen, did his best to argue for bail. "My client has no prior criminal record. She has deep ties to the community. She poses no flight risk." "Your client punched an 8-year-old girl in the face," the prosecutor countered. "She used racial slurs. She showed no remorse at the scene. She is exactly the kind of defendant who should be held without bail." The judge, a stern black woman named Judge Evelyn Carter, reviewed the evidence. "I've watched the video," she said, "multiple times, and each time I am more disturbed than the last." She looked directly at Victoria. "Ms. Hayes, what I saw on that video was not a momentary lapse in judgment. It was sustained, escalating harassment of a child, culminating in a violent assault. The fact that the victim was 8 years old makes this particularly egregious. Victoria said nothing. Her lawyer whispered something in her ear, but she didn't respond. "Bail is set at $500,000, Judge Carter announced, cash or bond. Additionally, Ms. Hayes is prohibited from any contact with the Thompson family directly or indirectly. She must surrender her passport and remain within Orange County. Any violation of these terms will result in immediate remand to custody." Victoria's lawyer nodded. "Understood, Your Honor." The defendant is also ordered to undergo psychological evaluation before trial. Given the nature of the incident, I want to ensure she receives appropriate assessment. "We have no objection, Your Honor." Judge Carter's gaze lingered on Victoria. "Ms. Hayes, I want to be very clear. What you did on that airplane shocked the conscience of this nation. A child is scarred physically and emotionally because of your actions. Whatever your reasons, whatever your struggles, there is no justification for what you did. None." Victoria finally spoke. Her voice was barely audible. "I know." Do you truly understand the harm you've caused?" Victoria lifted her head. Her eyes were red-rimmed, empty. "I watched her interview, the little girl, Maya." She swallowed hard. "She said she forgave me. And I don't deserve it." The courtroom went silent. "No." Judge Carter agreed. "You don't. But that child offered it anyway. That tells me everything I need to know about who she is. The question now is who you are, and who you're going to become." She banged her gavel. "Court is adjourned." Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed Denise and Marcus. "Mrs. Thompson, what's your reaction to the bail amount? Do you think justice will be served? Has Maya seen Victoria's statement?" Denise held up her hand. "My daughter is home recovering. She's doing better every day. We believe in the justice system, and we trust that Victoria Hayes will face appropriate consequences for her actions. That's all we have to say." She and Marcus pushed through the crowd toward their car. Ryan caught up with them. "You okay?" "Honestly, I don't know." Denise shook her head. "Seeing her in there, she looked so pathetic. Almost made me feel sorry for her. Almost. Then I remember my daughter's face covered in blood, and the feeling passes." "That's understandable." Marcus was quiet. He'd barely spoken since leaving the courtroom. "Marcus," Ryan asked, "you okay, man?" "She said she doesn't deserve Maya's forgiveness." "Yeah, I heard." "She's right. She doesn't." Marcus's jaw tightened. "But my daughter gave it to her anyway. My 8-year-old daughter has more grace than a grown woman who beat her bloody. Maya's special." "I know. But she shouldn't have to be. She should just get to be a kid." "Maybe," Ryan said slowly. "She still can be. This doesn't have to define her. It can be part of her story without being her whole story." Marcus looked at him. "You really believe that—" "I've seen people come back from worse. It's not easy. It takes time and support and probably a lot of therapy. But Maya's got all of that. She's got family who loves her, friends who support her, a whole country rooting for her." Ryan put his hand on Marcus's shoulder. "She's going to be okay. I really believe that." Marcus nodded slowly. "I hope you're right." "I usually am." Ryan smiled. "Ask my mother. She'll tell you I'm always right." "That's what mothers do." "Exactly." They walked to the car together, leaving the courthouse and all its ugly questions behind them. At Keisha's house, Maya was waiting. "What happened?" she demanded the moment her parents walked in. "Did she go to jail? Is she staying in jail? What did the judge say? Slow down, baby." Denise sat beside her on the couch. "She's being held on bail. There's going to be a trial. The judge said some very strong things about what she did." "Strong things like what? Like there's no justification for what she did. Like you showed more grace than anyone could expect." "The judge said that about me." "She did." Maya sat back, processing this. "That's weird, having a judge talk about me. You're famous now, baby. Judges talk about famous people." "I don't feel famous. I feel like me." "Good. That's exactly how you should feel." Maya was quiet for a moment. Then, Mama, do you think she's sorry, Victoria? Do you think she really feels bad? Denise considered lying, telling Maya what she wanted to hear, but Maya deserved the truth. I think she's starting to understand what she did. Whether that's the same as being sorry, I don't know. Some people are sorry they got caught. Some people are sorry they caused pain. It's hard to know which kind Victoria is. I hope she's the second kind. Why? Because the first kind doesn't get better, but the second kind can change. Maya hugged Peanut to her chest. And I don't want to live in a world where people can't change. Denise pulled her daughter close. Neither do I, baby. Neither do I. 4 months later, the trial of Victoria Hayes began. The Orange County Courthouse had never seen this level of attention. News trucks lined the streets for blocks. Protesters gathered outside with signs, some supporting Maya, a smaller but louder group defending Victoria's right to self-defense. Inside the courtroom, tension crackled like electricity before a storm. Maya Thompson sat in the front row between her parents. She'd grown in the months since the attack, not just physically, but in ways that showed in her eyes. The bruises had healed. The split lip had become an almost invisible scar. But something deeper had changed. She was 9 now. Her birthday had come and gone, a small party at Aunt Keisha's restaurant with family and close friends. Ryan had kept his promise and attended. He'd given her a book about famous FBI agents inscribed with the words, "To the bravest agent I know, keep fighting." Now she sat in a courtroom about to face the woman who had tried to break her. "You don't have to be here," Denise whispered. "You can wait outside until it's your turn to testify." "No," Maya's voice was steady. "I want to see." "Are you sure, baby?" "I'm sure." Marcus squeezed his daughter's hand. "If it gets too hard, you tell us. We'll leave immediately." "I know, Daddy, but I can do this." The bailiff's voice rang out. "All rise. The Honorable Judge Evelyn Carter presiding." Everyone stood as Judge Carter entered. She took her seat, surveyed the packed courtroom, and nodded. "Be seated. We are here for the trial of Victoria Ann Hayes, charged with assault causing bodily harm to a minor, hate crime enhancement, and reckless endangerment. Is the prosecution ready?" District Attorney Monica Reyes stood. She was a formidable woman in her 50s, with silver-streaked hair and eyes that missed nothing. "The people are ready, Your Honor." Defense. James Chen rose. He looked tired. The case had been a nightmare from the start. Public sentiment was overwhelmingly against his client. But he had a job to do. "The defense is ready, Your Honor." "Then let's begin. Ms. Reyes, your opening statement." Monica Reyes walked to the center of the courtroom. She looked at the jury, 12 men and women who would decide Victoria Hayes' fate, and began. "Ladies and gentlemen, this case is about hatred, pure, naked hatred directed at a child." She paused, letting the words sink in. On May 15th of this year, 8-year-old Maya Thompson boarded a flight from Chicago to Orlando. It was her first time flying. She was excited. She was wearing a yellow dress her grandmother had made for her. She was carrying a stuffed elephant named Peanut. She was a child, an innocent, joyful child. Monica turned to point at Victoria, who sat at the defense table in a conservative gray suit, her face carefully blank. That woman, Victoria Hayes, decided that Maya Thompson didn't deserve to exist. From the moment Maya stepped on that plane, Victoria Hayes targeted her. She blocked her in the aisle. She spilled juice on her dress. She told her to stop making noise when the child cried during turbulence. She called her, "You people." Monica's voice hardened. And when Maya, this 8-year-old child, offered to pray for her, Victoria Hayes responded by punching her in the face, hard enough to make her bleed, hard enough to nearly break her nose, hard enough to leave scars that will last a lifetime. She walked toward the jury box. "You will see the video. You will hear from witnesses. You will hear from the FBI agent who stopped Victoria Hayes from hitting Maya again. And when you've heard all the evidence, I am confident you will reach the only possible conclusion: Victoria Hayes is guilty. Guilty of assault. Guilty of a hate crime. Guilty of trying to destroy a child because of the color of her skin." She returned to her seat. "Thank you." James Chen stood slowly. He knew he was facing an impossible task. The evidence was overwhelming. But Victoria Hayes was still entitled to a defense. Ladies and gentlemen, what happened on that airplane was tragic. No one disputes that. An 8-year-old girl was hurt, and that should never have happened. He paused. But this case is not as simple as the prosecution wants you to believe. Victoria Hayes is not a monster. She's a human being who experienced a mental health crisis at the worst possible moment. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. You'll hear testimony from psychiatrists who examined Ms. Hayes. You'll learn that she was suffering from severe depression exacerbated by a recent divorce and financial troubles. You'll learn that she had been asking her employer for help for months, help that was denied. James walked toward the jury. Does this excuse what she did? No. Nothing excuses violence against a child, but it explains it. And when you understand the full context, when you see the complete picture, I believe you'll find that while Ms. Hayes is responsible for her actions, she does not deserve to spend decades in prison. He glanced at Maya. The Thompson family has suffered tremendously, but destroying another life won't heal their pain. Justice tempered with mercy, that's what I'm asking for. Thank you. Monica Reyes called her first witness Sarah Mitchell, the flight attendant who had given Maya her pilot wings. Ms. Mitchell, can you describe Victoria Hayes' behavior toward the Thompson family during the flight? Sarah took a shaky breath. She'd been dreading this moment for months. It was hostile from the start. The moment she saw Maya, something changed in her face. It was like she'd found a target, someone to direct her anger at. Victoria had been having a hard time lately, we all knew that, but I'd never seen her fixate on someone the way she fixated on Maya. Can you give specific examples? She blocked them in the aisle during boarding. She slammed Maya's juice down so hard it spilled all over her dress. During turbulence, when Maya was crying, Victoria told her to stop making noise instead of offering comfort like we're trained to do. What about the phrase, "you people"? Did you hear that? Yes. When Maya accidentally bumped into her on the way back from the bathroom, Victoria said, "You people never watch where you're going." How did you interpret that phrase? Sarah's voice dropped. We all knew what it meant. And what happened before the assault during deplaning? I wasn't there for all of it. I was checking the cabin, but I heard shouting. By the time I got to the front of the plane, she had already hit Maya. There was blood everywhere. The child was on the floor. Her mother was screaming. Sarah started crying. I should have done more. I knew Victoria was dangerous. I should have reported her more aggressively. Maybe if I had... You did report her, didn't you? 3 times in the past year. But nothing happened. Corporate said they would handle it internally. They never did. Monica nodded. No further questions. James Chen approached for cross-examination. Ms. Mitchell, you said Victoria was having a hard time lately. Can you elaborate? Her husband left her about 6 months ago. She'd been passed over for promotion. She seemed depressed. Did you ever suggest she seek mental health support? I mentioned it once. She said she couldn't afford it. So the airline knew she was struggling and did nothing to help her. Objection, Monica called out. Speculation. Sustained. James shifted tactics. Ms. Mitchell, did you witness the actual assault? Not the punch itself, no. So you can't say for certain what happened in the seconds before Victoria struck Maya. I saw the aftermath. I saw Maya bleeding on the floor. But you didn't see what triggered it. Sarah hesitated. No. No further questions. The prosecution's next witness was Captain Thomas Williams. Captain Williams, you've known Victoria Hayes for 15 years. In all that time, did you ever suspect she was capable of something like this? Williams shifted uncomfortably. I knew she could be difficult, strict, but violent against a child, no. I never imagined. Were you aware of complaints against her? I'd heard rumors, but nothing concrete ever reached me. And when you learned about the assault, I was in the cockpit. The first I knew something was wrong was when I heard screaming. By the time I got out there, Agent Mitchell had Victoria restrained, and the child was bleeding on the floor. What did Victoria say when you confronted her? She tried to blame Maya, said the child had been out of control, that she'd provoked her. Did you believe that? Williams's face hardened. I watched that video. There was no provocation. Maya offered to pray for her. That was it. That was Victoria's provocation. No further questions. The most anticipated witness took the stand on Day 3, FBI Special Agent Ryan Mitchell. Agent Mitchell, please tell the jury what you observed on Flight 2847. Ryan sat straight, his voice clear and steady. I noticed Victoria Hayes's hostility toward the Thompson family almost immediately after boarding. Her body language changed when she saw them. Her jaw tightened. Her eyes went cold. Did you intervene at any point before the assault? I confronted her after the juice incident. I told her I'd observed her targeting the child. She told me to mind my business. What was your assessment of her mental state? She was escalating. Each incident made her angrier. By the end of the flight, she was like a pressure cooker ready to explode. Describe the assault itself. Ryan's jaw tightened. Maya told Victoria she would pray for her. Victoria lost control. She grabbed Maya's arm first, hard enough to leave bruises. Then she used a racial slur. Then she punched Maya in the face with a closed fist. What did you do? I moved to restrain her. She was drawing back for a second strike. If I hadn't intervened, she would have hit Maya again. And you're certain the assault was racially motivated? She used the N-word immediately before striking the child. There's no ambiguity. James Chen's cross-examination was careful. Agent Mitchell, you said Victoria was escalating. Isn't that consistent with someone experiencing a mental health crisis rather than acting out of pure hatred? Hatred and mental health issues aren't mutually exclusive. She could have both. But you're not a psychiatrist. No, I'm an FBI agent who spent 15 years reading people, and what I read in Victoria Hayes was someone who had found an outlet for her rage. Maya Thompson became that outlet. But you can't say with certainty what was in her mind. I can say what came out of her mouth. The slur speaks for itself. No further questions. On Day 4, the prosecution called their final witness. The people call Maya Thompson. A hush fell over the courtroom. Maya stood. Her legs felt unsteady, but she walked toward the witness stand with her chin held high. She was wearing yellow, a new dress, not her grandmother's ruined one, but the same color. Her power color. She took the oath, her small voice carrying clearly, I promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Monica Reyes approached gently. Maya, I know this is scary. If you need to take a break at any time, just tell me, okay? Okay. Can you tell the jury about the day of the flight? What were you feeling when you got on that airplane? Maya looked at the jury. 12 strangers who would decide what happened to Victoria Hayes. I was really excited. It was my first time flying. I'd never seen clouds from above before. I thought they would look like cotton candy, and they did. When did things start to go wrong? When I saw her. Maya's eyes moved to Victoria for the first time. She looked at me like I was something bad, something dirty. I didn't understand why. What did she do during the flight? Maya recounted it all. The blocked aisle, the spilled juice, the turbulence, the you people comment. Her voice stayed steady, even when it wanted to shake. And when you were getting off the plane, you offered to pray for her. Why? My grandma taught me that. She said when people are mean, it's because they're hurting. So you should pray for them. How did Victoria respond? Maya's voice dropped. She got really angry. She grabbed my arm. Then she said that word. The bad word. Can you tell us what word? Maya looked at her mother. Denise nodded encouragingly. The N-word. And then what happened? She hit me. Maya touched her face instinctively. Right here, really hard. And then I was on the floor and there was blood everywhere and my mama was screaming and I thought I was going to die. Several jurors wiped their eyes. Maya, how has this affected you? I have nightmares sometimes, about her face, about the blood. I get scared when I see flight attendants, now even nice ones. Maya paused. But I'm getting better. My therapist helps. And my family. And Agent Mitchell. One last question. Victoria Hayes' lawyer says she was having mental health problems. Does that change how you feel about what she did? Maya thought carefully. I know she was hurting. I could see it. That's why I offered to pray for her. She looked directly at Victoria. But being hurt doesn't give you the right to hurt other people, especially not kids, especially not because of what they look like. She turned back to the jury. She had a choice. She could have walked away. She could have asked for help. She could have done anything except hit me. But she chose violence, and I think she has to answer for that choice. Monica nodded. No further questions. James Chen rose for cross-examination. The courtroom held its breath. Maya, you're very brave to be here today. Thank you. I just have a few questions. You said Victoria seemed like she was hurting. Do you think hurting people deserve help? Yes. Do you think they deserve compassion? Yes. Do you think they deserve forgiveness? Maya was quiet for a long moment. I already forgave her. A murmur swept the courtroom. You forgave her. My grandma said holding on to anger is like drinking poison and hoping the other person gets sick. I don't want to be poisoned. So yes, I forgave her. That's very mature of you. It doesn't mean she shouldn't have consequences. Forgiveness and consequences are different things. James blinked. He hadn't expected that from a 9-year-old. Fair enough. No further questions. Maya stepped down from the witness stand. As she walked back to her seat, she passed Victoria's table. Their eyes met. Victoria's face crumbled. Tears spilled down her cheeks. She mouthed 2 words, I'm sorry. Maya didn't respond. She just kept walking. The defense presented its case over the next 2 days. Psychiatrist Dr. Eleanor Vance testified about Victoria's mental state. Ms. Hayes was suffering from major depressive disorder with anxiety features. She had been in a downward spiral for months: divorce, financial stress, professional disappointments. On the day of the incident, she was experiencing what we call a dissociative episode. In layman's terms, she wasn't fully in control of her actions. The rational part of her brain had been overwhelmed by emotion. Does this excuse what she did? It doesn't excuse it, but it explains it. With proper treatment, someone in Ms. Hayes' condition can recover and never be a danger again. Monica's cross-examination was sharp. Dr. Vance, did Victoria Hayes' dissociative episode cause her to attack every passenger on that plane? No, only. Did it cause her to attack the white passengers? No. So her episode was selective. It only targeted the black child. Dr. Vance hesitated. The Thompson family became the focus of her displaced anger. Why them of all the passengers on that plane? Why did she focus on them? I can't say for certain. Could it be because they were black? Because Maya Thompson was an easy target for the racial prejudice Victoria Hayes had been carrying her whole life? Objection. James Chen stood. Speculation. Withdrawn. No further questions. The defense's final witness was Victoria Hayes herself. She walked to the stand like a woman heading to execution. Her hair was grayer than it had been. Her face was gaunt. 4 months in jail had aged her a decade. Ms. Hayes, James began gently, please tell the jury what was happening in your life leading up to May 15th. Victoria's voice was barely audible. Everything was falling apart. My husband left me for a younger woman after 23 years of marriage. I was passed over for promotion, a position I'd worked toward for a decade. My savings were gone. I couldn't afford therapy. I couldn't afford medication. I was drowning and no one threw me a rope. What happened on the plane? I don't remember all of it. I remember feeling angry, all the time, at everything, at everyone. And when I saw that little girl so happy, so full of joy, Victoria's voice cracked. I hated her for it. I hated that she had what I didn't. What did she have? Hope, innocence, a family that loved her, everything I'd lost. Do you remember hitting her? Victoria closed her eyes. Tears leaked from beneath her lids. Yes, I remember. I remember her face, the blood. the sound she made when my fist connected. Her voice broke completely. I dream about it every night, every single night. Do you have anything to say to Maya and her family? Victoria looked at the Thompson family, at Denise, whose face was stone, at Marcus, whose jaw was clenched, at Maya, who sat watching her with an expression Victoria couldn't read. I'm sorry. The words came out broken, ragged. I know that's not enough. I know nothing I say can undo what I did, but I am so sorry. I was wrong, I was cruel, I was everything my father raised me to be, and I hate myself for it. She turned back to the jury. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I don't deserve forgiveness. I'm just asking you to understand that the woman who hit that child, that wasn't who I want to be. It was who I became when I let hatred and pain consume me, and I will spend the rest of my life trying to become someone better. Monica Reyes rose for cross-examination. Ms. Hayes, you mentioned your father. What did he teach you? Victoria hesitated. He taught me to hate. People who were different. People who didn't look like us. Black people specifically. Yes. And did you believe what he taught you? For a long time, yes. I'm ashamed to admit it, but yes. So when you looked at Maya Thompson, you didn't just see a child. You saw everything your father had taught you to despise. Victoria's head dropped. Yes. The slur you used, the N-word, that wasn't a dissociative episode. That was learned behavior, hatred that had been nurtured for decades. Yes. And when you punched Maya, you weren't lashing out randomly. You were punishing her for existing. Victoria was sobbing now. Yes, God help me, yes. No further questions. Closing arguments came on day 6. Monica Reyes stood before the jury one final time. You've heard the evidence, you've seen the video, you've heard from the child who was attacked and the woman who attacked her, and now you have to decide what kind of society do we want to live in. She walked slowly along the jury box. Victoria Hayes wants you to believe she's a victim of mental illness, a victim of circumstances, a victim of her own upbringing, and yes, she had problems. Many people do. But millions of people suffer from depression without punching children. Millions of people get divorced without using racial slurs. Millions of people have difficult fathers without becoming violent racists. She stopped in front of juror number 7, a middle-aged black woman. Victoria Hayes made choices. She chose to target a child. She chose to harass her. She chose to terrorize her. And when that child responded with grace, with the offer of prayer, Victoria Hayes chose to beat her bloody. Monica returned to the center. Maya Thompson will carry the scars of this attack forever. Not just the physical scars, but the knowledge that someone hated her enough to hurt her simply because of how she looks. That's a wound that never fully heals. She turned to face Victoria. Victoria Hayes is not a monster. She's worse. She's ordinary. She's every person who's ever let hatred fester until it explodes. She's the quiet racist who smiles to your face and despises you in her heart. She's the danger that lurks in plain sight. She faced the jury one last time. Find her guilty, not just for Maya, for every child who deserves to live in a world where hatred has consequences, for every family that deserves to fly without fear, for every person who needs to know that this kind of violence will not be tolerated. Find her guilty, because she is guilty, and justice demands accountability. James Chen's closing was quieter, more subdued. Ladies and gentlemen, no one is asking you to say what Victoria Hayes did was acceptable. It wasn't. She committed assault. She caused harm, and she will face consequences for that. He walked toward the jury. But the prosecution is asking you to throw away the key, to treat this woman like an irredeemable monster, and I don't think that's fair. He pointed at Victoria. Look at her. Really look. She's broken, shattered by what she's done. She will never forgive herself for hurting that child. Is that not punishment in itself? He shook his head. The hate crime enhancement, that's what we're really debating here, because that's what turns years in prison into decades. And yes, Victoria used a terrible word. Yes, she harbored prejudice. But does that make her worse than any other person who's ever hit someone in anger? He turned to face Maya. That little girl forgave her. A 9-year-old child found it in her heart to forgive. Is it too much to ask that this jury do the same? He returned to his seat. I'm not asking you to let Victoria Hayes go free. I'm asking you to be merciful, to recognize that she's a human being who made a terrible mistake in a moment of crisis, to give her a chance to become better. Thank you. The jury deliberated for 7 hours. Maya spent the time in a small room with her family playing cards, trying not to think about what was happening behind closed doors. What if they let her go? She asked suddenly. They won't, Marcus said firmly. But what if they do? Denise took her daughter's hands. Then we keep fighting. We appeal. We make noise. We don't give up. But what if none of that works? What if she just gets away with it? Ryan, who had been sitting quietly in the corner, spoke up. Maya, can I tell you something? Okay. In 15 years as an FBI agent, I've seen a lot of cases. Some of them ended the way we wanted, some of them didn't. But here's what I've learned. Justice isn't just about what happens in a courtroom. It's about what happens after. What do you mean? Victoria Hayes is already destroyed. Her career is over. Her reputation is gone. Everyone in America knows what she did. Whether she spends 5 years in prison or 20, she'll never escape what she's done. That's a kind of justice, too. Maya thought about this. But it's not the same. No, it's not. And you have every right to want the full thing. Ryan leaned forward. But whatever happens today, you've already won. You survived. You spoke your truth. You showed the world who you are. And nothing can take that away. The door opened. The bailiff appeared. The jury's back. The courtroom fell silent as the jury filed in. Judge Carter turned to the 4-person juror, number 7, the middle-aged black woman Monica had addressed during closing arguments. Has the jury reached a verdict? We have, Your Honor. On the charge of assault causing bodily harm to a minor, how do you find guilty? A wave of relief swept through Maya's side of the courtroom. Denise squeezed Marcus's hand until her knuckles went white. On the charge of reckless endangerment, how do you find guilty? On the charge of assault with hate crime enhancement, how do you find... The 4-person paused. The entire courtroom held its breath. Guilty. Maya burst into tears. Not sad tears, not scared tears, tears of something she couldn't name. Relief, justice, closure. All of it. None of it. Everything at once. Denise pulled her close. It's over, baby. It's over. Marcus was crying, too. He didn't try to hide it. At the defense table, Victoria Hayes sat motionless. Her lawyer put a hand on her shoulder, but she didn't react. She just stared straight ahead, as if she'd known all along this was how it would end. Judge Carter addressed the courtroom. Sentencing will be held in 3 weeks. The defendant is remanded to custody until that time. She turned to Victoria. Ms. Hayes, you have been found guilty of assaulting a child in a racially motivated attack. I hope you use the time ahead to reflect on the harm you've caused. She banged her gavel. Court is adjourned. As officers led Victoria away, she turned one last time. Her eyes found Maya in the crowd, and in that moment, something passed between them. Not forgiveness that had already been given, not understanding some things can never be understood, but acknowledgement. Victoria Hayes saw Maya Thompson, really saw her, not as a target, not as a symbol. As a human being she had wronged, and Maya saw Victoria, not as a monster, not as a villain, as a broken woman who had let hatred consume her. They would never speak again. Their paths would never cross again. But in that moment, they were connected by something stronger than violence or verdict, the truth. 3 weeks after the verdict, Victoria Hayes stood for sentencing. The courtroom was packed again, but the energy had shifted. The fury of the trial had given way to something quieter, something final. Maya sat between her parents wearing yellow, always yellow now. She'd reclaimed the color completely. It was no longer the color of her grandmother's ruined dress. It was the color of survival. Judge Carter addressed Victoria directly. Ms. Hayes, before I pronounce sentence, do you have anything to say? Victoria stood slowly. She looked different from the trial, thinner, grayer, older. 4 months in custody had hollowed her out, but something else had changed too. The hatred that had burned in her eyes was gone, replaced by something that might have been exhaustion, or perhaps, finally, shame. "Your Honor, Victoria's voice cracked. She cleared her throat and tried again. "I've had a lot of time to think about what I did, about who I was, about who I want to be." She turned to face the Thompson family. "Maya, I know you're too young to fully understand what I'm about to say, but I need to say it anyway. What I did to you was evil, pure evil. I looked at you and saw everything I hated about myself, your joy, your innocence, your hope. Things I'd lost, things I'd destroyed in myself. And instead of dealing with my own pain, I tried to destroy yours." Victoria's voice broke completely. "I can't take it back. I can't undo the damage. But I can promise you this. I will spend every day of my sentence trying to become someone worthy of the forgiveness you already gave me. You didn't have to forgive me. I didn't deserve it. But you did it anyway. And that changed something in me." She turned back to Judge Carter. "Whatever sentence you give me, I accept it. I deserve it. And I only hope that someday, years from now, I can look in the mirror and not hate what I see." She sat down. Judge Carter was quiet for a long moment. "Ms. Hayes, in my 30 years on the bench, I have never seen a case that affected me as deeply as this one. The video of your assault has been viewed hundreds of millions of times. It has sparked conversations about racism, about violence, about the hatred that festers in the hearts of ordinary people." She leaned forward. "But what has affected me most is not the assault itself. It's what happened after. A 9-year-old girl, a child you brutalized, stood in this very courtroom and offered you forgiveness. She didn't have to. The law certainly doesn't require it. But she did it anyway, because her grandmother taught her that hurt people, and the only way to break the cycle is through grace." Judge Carter's voice hardened. "You do not deserve that grace. You have not earned it, but you have received it, and now you must decide what to do with it." She picked up her papers. "Victoria Ann Hayes, for the crime of assault causing bodily harm to a minor, I sentence you to 5 years in state prison. For the hate crime enhancement, I add an additional 3 years to be served consecutively. Total sentence 8 years. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. "Additionally, upon release, you will serve 5 years of supervised probation. You will complete a minimum of 500 hours of community service focused on racial reconciliation. You will undergo mandatory psychological treatment. And you will be permanently banned from any position involving contact with children or the public." Judge Carter looked directly at Victoria. 8 years is not a lifetime. It's a chance to become the person you claimed you want to be. I suggest you use it wisely." She banged her gavel. "Court is adjourned." As officers led Victoria away, Maya watched her go. "How do you feel?" Denise asked quietly. Maya thought for a moment. "I don't know. Not happy, but not sad either. Just done." "Done is okay, baby. Done is exactly right." Outside the courthouse, the media circus had returned in full force. Reporters shouted questions, cameras flashed. The Thompson family was surrounded the moment they emerged. "Maya, how do you feel about the sentence? Mrs. Thompson, do you think 8 years is enough? Mr. Thompson, will you be filing a civil lawsuit?" Marcus held up his hand. "We have a brief statement." The crowd quieted. "My daughter was attacked because of the color of her skin. She was beaten by a stranger who decided that Maya's joy was somehow an offense to her, that Maya's existence was somehow a threat." His voice shook with controlled emotion. "Today, that stranger received 8 years in prison. Is it enough? I don't know. Nothing can undo what happened to my little girl. Nothing can give her back the innocence that was stolen. But this is justice, real justice, and for that we're grateful." He looked at Denise. She stepped forward. "We also want to thank everyone who supported us through this nightmare. The passengers who recorded the incident and testified. The flight attendants who tried to help. Agent Ryan Mitchell, who put himself at risk to protect a child he'd never met, and the thousands of people who wrote letters, sent gifts, and lifted us up when we didn't know how to stand. Her voice softened. Most of all, we want to thank our daughter. Maya, you showed the world what strength looks like. You showed the world what grace looks like. And you showed the world that hatred doesn't have to win. She turned to Maya. Do you want to say something, baby? Maya stepped forward. The crowd went silent. For a moment, she just stood there, a 9-year-old girl in a yellow dress, facing a wall of cameras and microphones and adult expectations. Then she spoke. My grandma used to tell me a story about a seed that got stepped on. Everyone thought the seed was dead, but it wasn't. It was just pushed deeper into the ground. And when spring came, it grew into the tallest flower in the whole garden. Maya lifted her chin. Victoria Hayes stepped on me. She thought she could kill my joy, but she was wrong. I'm not dead. I'm not even broken. I'm just planted deeper. She smiled. And when my spring comes, I'm going to grow into something beautiful, something she could never destroy, something nobody can ever destroy. She looked directly into the cameras. That's my message to every kid who's ever been hurt because of who they are. You are a seed, and seeds don't stay in the ground forever. The crowd was silent for a moment. Then someone started clapping, then another person, then another. Within seconds, the entire crowd was applauding. Reporters, cameramen, random onlookers. Everyone united in recognition of a child who had faced hatred and emerged victorious. Maya just stood there holding her mother's hand, letting the applause wash over her. She had done it. She had survived. The months that followed brought changes none of them had anticipated. The GoFundMe reached $2 million before the Thompsons shut it down. They kept enough for Maya's college fund and therapy costs, then donated the rest half to children's trauma centers, half to organizations fighting hate crimes. Denise quit her second job. The stress had been killing her, and now they had enough savings that she could finally focus on her daughter and herself. She started therapy of her own, working through the guilt and rage she'd been carrying since the attack. Marcus got promoted at his construction job. His boss had seen the trial, seen how Marcus held his family together through the worst crisis imaginable, and decided that was exactly the kind of person he wanted in management. Aunt Keisha's restaurant exploded. People came from all over the country just to eat at the place connected to Maya Thompson's story. She had to hire extra staff, then extra staff, then finally expand into the storefront next door. And Maya went back to school. That was the hardest part. The first day she stood outside the building for 10 minutes, unable to make her feet move. What if they stare at me? She whispered to her mother. They might. What if they ask questions? They probably will. What if someone's mean to me again? Denise knelt down so they were eye to eye. Then you do what you did on that plane. You stand up straight. You tell your truth. And you remember that mean people are usually just hurt people who haven't figured out how to heal yet. Maya took a deep breath. Okay. She walked into that school like she was walking into battle. Head high, shoulders back, yellow backpack that matched her yellow hair ribbons. The students stared. Of course they stared. Everyone knew who she was. But then something happened that Maya didn't expect. A girl from her class, Brittany, who had never really talked to her before, walked up and hugged her. I saw your interview, Brittany said. You're really brave. Before Maya could respond, another kid came over. Then another. Then a whole crowd of them, all wanting to tell her they'd seen the news, they'd been cheering for her. They were glad she was back. Maya's teacher, Mrs. Patterson, finally had to intervene. Okay, everyone, give Maya some space. She's had a big morning. But Mrs. Patterson was smiling too, and when Maya took her seat, she found a card on her desk signed by every teacher in the school. Welcome back, Maya. We missed you. That afternoon, Maya called Ryan. I did it. I went back to school. How was it? Scary at first, then really good. Everyone was nice, even the kids who never talked to me before. I'm proud of you, Pilot. Ryan, Can I ask you something? Anything. Do you think it'll always be like this? People being nice because of what happened? Ryan was quiet for a moment. Honestly, no. Eventually, the attention will fade. People will move on to other stories. You'll just be Maya again, not Maya, the girl from the plane. Is that bad? No, that's good. That's exactly what you want. Because when that happens, it means you're not defined by what Victoria did to you anymore. You're just you. Maya thought about this. I think I'd like that. Me too, pilot. Me too. 6 months after the attack, Maya flew again. This time was different. Denise and Marcus flanked her as they walked down the jet bridge. Ryan had offered to come too, but Maya had declined. I need to do this myself, she'd said. Otherwise, I'll always need someone to hold my hand. But she wasn't alone. Not really. She had her parents, she had Peanut too, a new stuffed elephant since the original was too blood-stained to save. She had her yellow dress, and she had something else now. Courage. Real courage. The kind you earn through fire. A flight attendant greeted them at the entrance. Welcome aboard, first flight. No, Maya said. Second. Something in her voice made the flight attendant pause. Then recognition dawned in her eyes. Oh my God, you're Maya Thompson. Maya nodded. The flight attendant's face crumpled. Honey, I'm so sorry for what happened to you. I've been in this industry for 12 years, and when I saw that video, I cried. I literally cried. It's okay. I'm okay now. But the attendant hesitated. Are you sure you want to fly after everything? I'm sure. Maya straightened her shoulders. I'm not going to let one bad person take the sky away from me. The flight attendant wiped her eyes. You know what, you're absolutely right, and I'm going to make sure this is the best flight you've ever had. She was true to her word. Maya got upgraded to first class, the airline's apology for what had happened on their aircraft. She got her own personal flight attendant who checked on her every 15 minutes. She got free snacks, free drinks, pilot wings that were actually metal instead of plastic. But the best part came during takeoff. As the plane climbed into the sky, Maya pressed her face against the window. The clouds approached white and fluffy, just like she remembered. They still look like cotton candy, she whispered. Denise squeezed her hand. They always will, baby. Mama, I'm not scared anymore. No, I was scared before, when we were walking to the gate, when we were boarding. But now, Maya watched the clouds drift past. Now I just feel free. That's the best feeling in the world. Better than mac and cheese. Denise laughed. Maybe tied with mac and cheese. Maya smiled and leaned against her mother's shoulder. Below them, the world fell away. Above them, the sky stretched endless and blue. And Maya Thompson, who had once bled on an airplane floor, soared through the clouds like she was born to fly. 1 year later, Maya stood on a stage. The audience was huge, 500 people at least. Students, teachers, parents, community leaders, all gathered for the annual Unity Day celebration at her school. Maya had been asked to give the keynote speech. She'd prepared remarks, written them down, practiced them in front of her mirror every night for a week. But when she stepped up to the microphone, she set the paper aside. I was supposed to read a speech, she said. But that feels fake, so I'm just going to talk to you. Is that okay? The audience nodded encouragingly. A year ago, a woman punched me in the face because she hated how I looked. She used a word I didn't understand at the time, a word my parents had to explain to me later, a word that's been used to hurt people like me for hundreds of years. She paused. I'm not going to say that word. It doesn't deserve to be repeated. But I want to talk about what happens after someone uses that word. After they try to make you feel small. After they try to convince you that you don't matter. Maya looked out at the audience. Some people break. I almost did. For weeks after the attack, I had nightmares. I was scared of flight attendants, scared of airplanes, scared of anyone who looked at me too long. I thought maybe that woman was right. Maybe I was wrong somehow. Maybe I deserved what happened. She shook her head. But I didn't deserve it, and neither does anyone else who's ever been hurt because of who they are. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, gay, straight, disabled, different in any way. Nobody deserves to be hated for being themselves. Her voice grew stronger. My grandma taught me that hurt people, and that's true. Victoria Hayes was hurting inside. That's why she hurt me. But here's what else my grandma taught me. Healed people heal people. And that's what I want to be. Someone who heals, someone who helps, someone who takes the pain they've been through and uses it to make the world better. She straightened her shoulders. I'm 10 years old now. I can't vote. I can't drive. I can't do most of the things adults do. But I can do one thing. I can tell my story. And I can remind everyone who hears it that hatred doesn't win. It might hurt you. It might knock you down. It might make you bleed. She smiled. But it doesn't win. Because love is stronger, and kindness is stronger, and the truth is always stronger. Always. The audience erupted in applause. Standing in the back of the auditorium, Ryan Mitchell wiped his eyes. He'd flown in specially for this speech, wouldn't have missed it for the world. Beside him, Denise and Marcus were holding each other, tears streaming down their faces. She's really something, Ryan said quietly. She's everything, Marcus replied. She's absolutely everything. After the speech, Maya found Ryan in the crowd. You came? I promised, didn't I? You always keep your promises. I try. Maya hugged him, really hugged him, not the polite hugs she gave most adults. Ryan hugged her back, feeling something crack open in his chest. I'm proud of you, Pilot. I know. Maya pulled back and grinned, but I still like hearing it. Then I'll say it every time I see you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of who you are and who you're becoming. Ryan, can I tell you a secret? Always. Maya leaned close. Sometimes I'm glad it happened. Ryan blinked. What? Not the hitting, not the blood, not any of that, but everything after. The way people came together, the way I found out how strong I am, the way I met you. She looked up at him seriously. If Victoria Hayes hadn't done what she did, I'd still be the same Maya I was before. But now I'm different. Better. Stronger. You were always strong, Maya. Maybe. But I didn't know it until she tested me. Maya thought for a moment. It's like my grandma used to say. Diamonds are made under pressure. And I guess I'm a diamond now. Ryan couldn't speak, couldn't find the words, so he just hugged her again. And in that moment, surrounded by people who loved her, Maya Thompson knew she was going to be okay. More than okay. She was going to shine. 5 years passed. Maya turned 15. She was taller now, her braids replaced by natural curls that framed her face like a crown. She still wore yellow at least once a week, usually more. The fame had faded just as Ryan predicted. She was no longer Maya the girl from the plane. She was just Maya, student, daughter, friend, young woman finding her place in the world. But some things hadn't changed. Ryan still called every birthday, every Christmas, every major milestone. He'd become part of the family, Uncle Ryan, Maya called him, and he'd stopped correcting her years ago. He was there when she won the school speech competition, there when she started high school, there when she had her first heartbreak and needed someone outside her parents to talk to. You're not getting rid of me, he told her once. I'm in this for life. Good, she replied, because I need you. You don't need anyone, Maya. You just like having me around. Same thing. It wasn't the same thing, but he didn't argue. The Thompson family had healed. Not perfectly. Some scars never fully disappear, but enough. They'd found a new normal. A good normal. Denise had become an advocate for victims' rights, speaking at conferences about her experience navigating the legal system. Marcus had started a mentorship program for young black boys in their neighborhood. Aunt Keisha's restaurant empire had expanded to 3 locations with a 4th on the way, and Maya had discovered her calling. She wanted to be a lawyer, not just any lawyer, a civil rights lawyer, someone who fought for people who'd been hurt the way she was hurt, someone who made sure that hatred had consequences. You sure about this? Marcus asked when she told them her plans. Law school is hard and expensive. I'm sure, Daddy, it's a long road. I know, but I've walked long roads before. Marcus couldn't argue with that. Victoria Hayes served her full sentence, 8 years, no early parole. The parole board had considered her case twice, and both times they'd decided she wasn't ready. The prison psychologist said she'd made progress. She'd completed anger management, attended racial sensitivity training, worked with a therapist to unpack the prejudice her father had instilled in her. But progress wasn't completion, and 8 years wasn't forever. On the day of her release, Victoria walked out of the Florida State Women's Correctional Facility with nothing but a small bag of personal belongings and a bus ticket. She was 55 years old. Her hair had gone completely gray. Her face was lined with years she could never get back. She had no job waiting, no family her sister had stopped visiting after the first year, no friends, nothing except a second chance she wasn't sure she deserved. She took the bus to a halfway house in Jacksonville, checked in, unpacked her meager belongings into a tiny room that smelled like disinfectant and despair. Then she sat on the bed and cried. What now? What was left? How did you rebuild a life that was completely destroyed? She didn't know, but she had to try. That's what she'd promised. In court, in therapy, in every meeting with the parole board. She would try. 3 months after her release, Victoria found a job at a warehouse. Night shift, manual labor. The kind of work no one wanted but everyone needed. Her co-workers didn't know who she was at first. She kept her head down, did her work, didn't talk about her past, but eventually someone recognized her. Holy shit, you're that flight attendant, the one who hit that little girl. Victoria froze. The other workers gathered around, staring. Yeah, that's her. I saw the video. We all saw the video. Victoria's heart pounded. She'd known this would happen. She'd prepared for it, but preparation and reality were two different things. I served my time, she said quietly. I'm trying to start over. Start over. A large man stepped forward. His name was Jerome. He was black. You think 8 years makes up for what you did? No, nothing makes up for what I did. Then why should we work with you? Why should we trust you? Victoria looked at him, at all of them, black, white, Hispanic, a cross-section of America staring at her with suspicion and hostility. You shouldn't trust me, she said. I haven't earned that, but I'm asking for a chance to prove I've changed. That's all I can do, ask. Silence. Then a woman spoke up, older, gray-haired. She'd been watching the confrontation from the back. My grandson is 10 years old, same age as that girl would be now. When I saw that video, I wanted to find you and hurt you myself. Victoria flinched. But my pastor says everyone deserves redemption, even the worst of us. The woman stepped closer. So I'm going to give you that chance. One chance. You mess it up, and I'll make sure everyone in this city knows who you are and what you did. I understand. Good. Now get back to work. You're not getting paid to stand around. Victoria went back to work, and slowly, painfully, she began to rebuild. Maya graduated from high school at 18, valedictorian, full scholarship to Howard University, plans to attend law school afterward. The graduation ceremony was packed. Ryan was there, of course. So was Sarah Mitchell, who had stayed in touch all these years. So was Captain Williams, retired now, but still following Maya's story. When Maya took the podium for her valedictorian speech, she looked out at the audience and smiled. 10 years ago, I got on an airplane for the first time. I was wearing a yellow dress my grandmother made. I was carrying a stuffed elephant named Peanut. I was excited to see the clouds. She paused. What happened on that plane changed my life. For a while, I thought it changed my life for the worse. But I was wrong. She looked at her parents, at Ryan, at all the people who had carried her through the darkness. What happened on that plane showed me who I really am. It showed me that I'm strong, stronger than I ever knew. It showed me that love is more powerful than hate. And it showed me that the worst moments of our lives can become the foundation for our greatest triumphs. She straightened her shoulders. In the fall, I'm going to Howard University, then law school. And then I'm going to spend the rest of my life fighting for people who've been hurt the way I was hurt. Not because I'm special, but because I know what it feels like to be targeted for who you are, and I know that no one should have to face that alone." She smiled. "My grandmother used to say that God doesn't waste pain. Every hurt, every scar, every tear, it all has a purpose. I believe that now. I believe that what happened to me wasn't just tragedy. It was preparation. Preparation for the life I'm going to live, the difference I'm going to make, the world I'm going to help build." She looked directly into the audience. "To everyone who ever doubted me, thank you. You made me want to prove you wrong. To everyone who ever believed in me, thank you. You gave me the strength to keep going. And to Victoria Hayes, wherever you are," she paused, "thank you for showing me what I'm made of. I hope you found the peace you were looking for. I hope you've become the person you wanted to be. But whether you have or haven't, I want you to know that you didn't break me. You never could." She raised her diploma. "My name is Maya Thompson. I am a survivor, and this is just the beginning." The audience rose as one. Standing ovation. Tears. Cheers that shook the building. And Maya stood at the podium, her grandmother's spirit with her, the sun streaming through the windows, her whole future spread out before her like an endless sky. 20 years after the attack, Maya Thompson stood before the Supreme Court. She was 38 years old, a civil rights attorney with a reputation that preceded her. She'd argued cases that had changed laws, freed innocent people, held corporations accountable for discrimination, and now she was arguing the biggest case of her career, a case about a child who had been attacked on an airplane. A case that would set precedent for hate crime prosecution for decades to come. She wore a yellow suit. She always wore yellow for the big ones. The Chief Justice looked down at her. "Counselor, you may proceed." Maya took a breath, and then she began to speak. She spoke about justice, about accountability, about the generational trauma of racism and the urgent need to protect children from hatred. She cited precedent. She quoted statistics. She told stories of children who had been hurt, families who had been destroyed, communities who had been terrorized. But mostly, she told her own story. 30 years ago, I was an 8-year-old girl on her first airplane flight. I was wearing a yellow dress. I was excited to see the clouds. And a woman who had never met me decided that I didn't deserve to exist. She looked at the justices. She punched me in the face. She called me a word that carries 400 years of American cruelty. She tried to destroy me simply because of the color of my skin. She paused. But she failed. She failed because good people intervened. She failed because the justice system held her accountable. She failed because I refused to let hatred define my story. She straightened her shoulders. The case before you today is about more than legal precedent. It's about who we are as a nation. It's about whether we protect our children from hatred or abandon them to it. It's about whether we stand up against evil or look away and hope someone else deals with it. She looked at each justice in turn. "I'm not asking you to rule in my client's favor because it's easy. I'm asking you to rule in their favor because it's right, because every child deserves to grow up without fear, because every family deserves to travel without being targeted, because hatred doesn't win, not in America, not anywhere, unless we let it." She returned to her seat. The courtroom was silent. 6 months later, the Supreme Court ruled 7-2 in her client's favor. The decision established new federal protections for victims of hate crimes. It expanded the definition of racial harassment. It gave prosecutors more tools to hold perpetrators accountable. And it cited Maya Thompson's testimony as a powerful reminder of why these protections matter. The day the decision came down, Maya's phone rang. "Did you hear?" Ryan's voice was thick with emotion. "I heard. You did it, pilot. You actually did it. We did it. All of us who fought for this. Everyone who testified. Everyone who marched. Everyone who refused to stay silent. But you led the charge," Maya smiled. "I just did what my grandmother taught me. Told my truth. Stood my ground. Refused to let hatred win. She'd be proud of you." "I know." Maya felt tears gathering. I feel her with me. Every day, every case, every fight. What's next? Next, I don't know. There's always another battle, always another child who needs someone to fight for them. And you'll be there. Always. Maya looked out her office window at the Washington skyline. That's what survivors do, Ryan. We don't just survive. We rise. We reach back. We lift others up. That's what heroes do. I'm not a hero. I'm just someone who got knocked down and decided to get back up. Same thing, pilot? Same thing. That night, Maya went home to her family. Her husband, James, a fellow civil rights attorney she'd met in law school, was making dinner. Their daughter, Rosa, 8 years old, was doing homework at the kitchen table. Rosa had dark skin and braided hair, and her grandmother's dress, the original one carefully restored after years in storage. Maya had given it to her on her 8th birthday. Mama? Rosa looked up from her math problems. You're on TV again. Maya glanced at the screen. A news anchor was discussing the Supreme Court decision her picture displayed beside the headline. That's right, baby. You won. We won. Rosa beamed. I knew you would. You always win. Not always. But today was a good day. James handed her a glass of wine. How does it feel? Honestly strange. Like this part of my life is finally complete. Like the circle is finally closed. What do you mean? Maya looked at Rosa, at the yellow dress, at the future spreading out before her daughter. When I was Rosa's age, someone tried to destroy me. They almost succeeded, but they failed because of people who loved me, people who fought for me, people who refused to let hatred win. She knelt beside Rosa and took her hands. Today I got to be that person for someone else's child, someone else's family. I got to fight for them the way people fought for me. That's what you always do, Mama. I know, but today was special. Today the fight counted in a way that will protect children for generations. Children like you, children who deserve to grow up in a world where hatred has consequences. Rosa hugged her mother. I love you, Mama. I love you too, baby, more than you'll ever know. Later that night, after Rosa was in bed, Maya sat alone in her study. She looked at the framed photo on her desk herself, at 8 years old, standing outside the courthouse, after the verdict, holding her mother's hand, wearing a yellow dress stained with hope. She thought about Victoria Hayes. The woman had died 3 years ago, heart attack alone, in a rented room, still trying to rebuild a life she'd destroyed. Maya had felt something when she heard the news. Not satisfaction, not grief, just acknowledgement. That chapter was finally truly closed. She thought about her grandmother, the woman who had taught her that hurt people and healed people heal people, the woman whose yellow dress had become a symbol of survival. She thought about Ryan, still calling every birthday, still showing up for the big moments, still the unexpected hero who had changed everything. And she thought about herself, the 8-year-old girl who had gotten on an airplane full of excitement and gotten off covered in blood, the child who had forgiven her attacker before she even understood what forgiveness meant, the woman who had turned her pain into purpose, her scars into strength, her story into a weapon against hatred. She picked up a pen and paper, and she wrote, To whoever reads this, I am Maya Thompson. I was attacked on an airplane when I was 8 years old because of the color of my skin. A woman punched me in the face, called me a word that carries centuries of cruelty, and tried to destroy my spirit. She failed. I grew up. I went to school. I became a lawyer. I fought for children like me, families like mine, communities that deserved protection. Today, the Supreme Court ruled in our favor. New laws will protect new generations. The cycle of hatred has been interrupted, at least for now, but this isn't the end of the story. It's never the end, because hatred doesn't disappear, it just finds new targets, new excuses, new faces to hide behind. The fight never really ends. So this is my message to you, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're facing. Don't let them break you. They will try. They will hit you and hurt you and call you names that carry the weight of history. They will try to convince you that you don't matter, that you don't belong, that you don't deserve to take up space in this world. They are wrong. You are worthy. You are valuable. You are made exactly right, and God doesn't make mistakes. My grandmother taught me that, and I'm teaching it to my daughter, and someday she'll teach it to hers. That's how we win. Not in courtrooms alone, but in kitchens and classrooms and quiet moments when a parent tells a child that they are loved. That's how hatred loses when love refuses to stop fighting. I am Maya Thompson. I am a seed that was stepped on and grew into a flower. I am a diamond formed under pressure. I am proof that the worst moments of our lives can become the foundation for our greatest triumphs. And I am not finished yet. None of us are. We are survivors. We are fighters. We are the living proof that hatred doesn't win. And together we will build a world where every child can grow up without fear, fly without terror, and dream without limits. That is my promise. That is my purpose. That is my legacy. And that is the truth that will outlast us all. Maya set down the pen. She looked out the window at the stars above Washington, and she smiled. Because Maya Thompson, the girl in the yellow dress, the survivor, the fighter, the hero, knew something that Victoria Hayes never understood. Hatred is loud, but love is louder. Darkness is strong, but light is stronger. And when one person stands up against evil, they light a spark that can never be extinguished. Maya Thompson was that spark, and her fire would burn forever.